experiences of what it's like to understand what it's the touching the chair. Okay, so when you're talking about these things such as feeling, sensation, etc., I think that feelings, and sensation are ultimately all rooted within subjective experiences, right?
Yeah, so then I have a
Okay,
question.
and like sentience and consciousness. Okay, well, here's the deal. Okay, a fetus can't have experiences, sensations, or feelings until it has the ability to deploy any level of sentience. And the current and like the current consensus amongst neurobiologists is around 20 through 24 weeks.
Okay, so then I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Why do you think two people being irresponsible the baby should have to be punished, or the fetus should have to be punished?
Okay, you're shifting your argument. I would love to respond to the new argument once you respond to what I just said.
That's one of my reasons. I
Okay,
have multiple reasons.
I understand, but
I
I want you to respond to my refutation of your first reason.
Can
Okay,
you repeat
because
it?
yeah, you said that it has sensation and feelings at 5 weeks. I said that's not true. The earliest
6
point
weeks.
in which they could have sensation and or feeling is at 20 through 24 weeks, as that is the earliest point that neurobiologists understand sentience to be able to be deployed.
You're saying at 23 weeks.
Yeah, 20 through 24 weeks. Yep.
They can feel pain at that age. They can't feel pain at 6 weeks, but they have even the sensation of moving their tongue in their mouth. That also would be considered sensation. They can feel the
Okay.
roof of their mouth. That's
So,
what I'm talking about.
Shelly, I've already described this to you. Sensation, okay, is an experience. Can we agree there?
Yeah,
Okay, what's an experience?
something that happens.
Something that happens, okay, but like a sensation is like an experience that you could like self-acknowledge, okay? So it's like it's not just that something is happening, it's that you know something's happening, right?
I think it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd agree. Okay.
Right. Like for instance, if you're asleep in your bed and your cat jumps up on the bed and lays on your legs, okay? Well, you're asleep. You're not going to acknowledge that that has occurred. So I wouldn't say that's a sensation that you had, okay? Right? Because you have to have some acknowledgement that it occurred, okay? Well, what do we define as like the acknowledgement of like subjective experiences? Like that's sentience. It's consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that doesn't occur until 20 through 24 weeks. So these sensations, these feelings can't occur until 20 through 24 weeks at the minimum either.
Okay, but would you also? So you're saying your tongue touching the roof of your mouth is not sensation?
Shelly, I just explained this to you, okay? It's not a sensation when you don't have consciousness. It's not a sensation when you don't have sentience. It's not a feeling unless you could acknowledge that it's occurring, okay? All right? Like for a fetus at 5 weeks, there's no acknowledgement at all that it's occurring.
I beg to differ with you on that one, but
No, you can't unless you have evidence. Okay, what evidence do you have that sentience and or like consciousness can occur at like 5 weeks?
at 6 weeks, not 5.
Do you have any evidence of that?
Yeah, here, let me pull the article real quick. Talk to your stream while I do that.
Man. Okay. Yeah.
My anxiety.
Let's go ahead and see the evidence that you know they have sentience before they have a developed brain at all. That'll be fun for the 7,000 people in here. I appreciate you for being here. Make sure that you're double tapping away on that phone screen and share out this live with a handful of friends. So I feel like what she's referencing is this study that very immoral study that was done in the 70s. I think it was late 70s, like 78 or so. Basically, they took the bodies of fetuses and they tested them for any type of brain activity, and they were able to locate and identify very like low alpha brain waves. However, like low alpha brain waves are not sufficient for any sentience, for any level of sentience and or sentient experience. So, you know, like the claim that sentience occurs at that point is debunked and has been refuted since. In fact, the more neuroscientists have, you know, studied and looked into the expression of consciousness and sentience throughout embryonic and throughout the development of a fetus, the later they push down the line. So in the 70s, it was 6 to 7 weeks. In the 80s, it was 10. In the 90s, it was 15. And now the current understanding is 20 through 24. Very fun fact.
Okay, on nationalinstitution.gov, it says that there is new neurological science that has been performed in different studies.
Nationalinstitution.gov is not a website. I'm guessing you mean National Institute of Health.
Yeah, National Institute of Health, sorry.
There you go. By the way, we can't hear you when you're on pause. You have to be able to see me in order for me to hear you.
There's evidence that indicates fetuses can feel pain and perception during the first trimester, less than 14 weeks. Please look that up.
So less than 14 weeks. I thought you said that your claim was 6 weeks.
That's less than 14 weeks. Let me read you another one.
Okay, well, once again, I can't hear you if you can't see me. You're teacupping out of the app. That's what they call that.
I know, I'm finding the exact article so I can read it word for word for you.
Okay, all right. I would like to clarify that even this study off of the NIH reads, the predominant position has been that the potential for fetal pain perception emerges at mid-gestation. This position is mirrored at the legislative level, in which recognizes that fetal pain capacity would occur at the 20 through 22 week gestational mark. And this comes from a study in 2021, provided after what is listed. And in fact, this is not even a study of its own. This is a paper that's more so talking about other studies.
So I have a question. Would you say...
I mean, did you read through this at all?
Yeah, so would you say that...
So you did read through this. So I have a question. Where in this does it indicate the evidence of the findings?
So would you say that a baby responded...
Oh my God. Oh my God. You didn't read through it. You want to know why I know that you didn't read through this? You want to know why?
Why, Dean?
Go down to table 1, okay? In the study that in the study, quote unquote, that you're giving me from NIH, okay? All this is an academic review of all literature that has been posted on the subject in the last 80 years. So if you go down to table 1, okay, it's titled The Development of Fetal Neuroreceptive Pathways, okay, which is what they define as being required to feel and understand pain or sensation. Okay, so the first gestational wake point, which is 7.5 through 15 weeks, you want to know what their source is that pain can arise at that point? Want to know what year it's from?
Dean, one thing real quick, do you have pink eye?
No, I don't. Do you want to know what year it's from?
Yes.
1964. And then what about the next week mark at 7 to 8 gestational weeks? Do you want to know where their study is from that claim?
You can...
1984. Okay. Yeah. Now, what about the next week mark, 12 through 20 through 15 weeks? Do you want to know what years the studies are from there?
So why would I have a question?
Do you want to? No. Do you want to know what the years their studies are from?
Why
there?
would the year matter?
No. I will literally tell you why the year matters.
Why do you think that year matters? They found that the baby.
Shelly, I'm going to tell you why the year matters if you're going to listen to me. Speak then. So what years were the studies from conducted that said pain can be felt at 12 through 15 weeks?
I'm still waiting for you to tell me why that's relevant.
I have to give you a full picture before I could tell you why it's relevant. So what years were the studies done that concluded that pain could be felt between 12 and 15 weeks?
Doesn't matter the year. The study was done and it proved it. So say why the study.
Shelly,
say why the year matters.
Sure, because the study done that proved that pain could be felt at 7 weeks was in 1964. The study done that proved pain could be felt at 8 weeks was in 1984. The study done that proved pain could be felt at 12 to 15 weeks was in 2002. And then the studies done that proved that pain could be felt between 20 and 24 weeks were done in 2005, 2020, and 2021. Okay, the reason why the years are relevant insofar as when these studies were conducted is because of exactly what I said earlier. Understanding of medicine and science has continually progressed and advanced the more that we've learned. And in fact, neuroscience is a more recent field of research that was just about as speculative as quantum mechanics in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay,
So
but
correct
the
me if
better
I'm
we can
wrong.
understand the field of research, the more likely we are to yield true, correct conclusions. So when we see a positive correlation between the year in which a study is released, okay, it being older, denoting the fact that they believe fetuses could perceive pain earlier, and the fact that it's newer, denoting our new understanding that fetuses can perceive pain later. What this shows is that the more we know, the later we kind of push that rock down the road of when a fetus can begin experiencing pain. All right. And I mean, this is exactly what we've done with cigarettes as well. I mean, what did doctors say about cigarettes in the 1960s? They said that they were perfectly safe. What do they say now? No, they kill people. Same thing with vapes, and same thing with a lot of other forms of study and advancement in neurobiology, since it's such a lucrative and hard to study emerging field in medicine and science. So when we see this trend of the more recent a study is done with a better understanding of neurobiology, with more advanced equipment, the later it says consciousness can emerge in a fetus, leads us to the justified conclusion that, of course, it's more likely to occur at 20 through 24 weeks compared to 7 to 8 weeks, because the means in which we have to believe it occurs at 7 to 8 weeks are from the 60s, and the means in which we have to believe that it occurs at 20 through 24 weeks is 2 years ago.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. You think a baby only starts feeling pain at 24 weeks, right?
So 20 through 24 weeks is when I believe that they have the ability to express any level of sentience.
So you think they can feel pain at 24 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, more specific studies on the ability to perceive pain is around 28 weeks.
And do you think abortion should be allowed then?
So I think that elective lethal abortions become immoral at 20 through 24 weeks, with the emergence of low levels of sentience as well as the point of viability.
So your argument is on the viability and the
No, my
ability to
argument
feel
is on sentience.
sentence. Okay.
So do you want to respond to like the long-winded explanation I just gave insofar as why you're wrong and I'm right? You're quoting studies from the 60s. I'm quoting 2 studies from 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, so I will admit that your studies are overgoing mine. I'm not gonna say that's wrong because I will admit that you said that. But I do think so. You think it's morally okay to abort a fetus at, let's even say, so you think 24 weeks. Let's say 19 weeks.
Yeah. If it doesn't have
And
the ability to deploy sentience, there's nothing wrong with it.
24 weeks.
It's not okay to abort it if it's elective and it has the ability to deploy sentience. It is okay to abort it if it's elective and it doesn't have the ability to deploy sentience. Whatever that point may be. So like imagine a fetus gains that ability at 20 weeks. It's okay to abort and kill that fetus at 19 weeks, 6 days, and 23 hours.
So why do you think that it's fine for that, but why shouldn't the mother just carry it to term? She chose to engage in tango, so
Right. So you're basically saying even if there's nothing morally valuable about the life of the fetus, it's still the mother's obligation to carry that pregnancy to term because she consented to engage in an intercourse knowing that it ran the risk of pregnancy. Is that your position?
yes.
Okay. So if you smoke a cigarette and you do so willingly, acknowledging the risk that that can lead to lung cancer, and you do develop lung cancer, do you think you should have an obligation to keep that lung cancer alive, or should you be able to go get chemotherapy from your doctor?
It's different because that fetus is a completely separate human being.
Well, actually, no, because in the pretense of this position, the value of the fetus doesn't matter. You're saying even if the fetus possessed no value at all, it would still be wrong for the mother to abort it because she consented to the action which led to that as a consequence. See, now you could only point out one distinction between my analogy and an abortion, that being that you don't think the life of lung cancer is valuable. However, you do think the life of a fetus is valuable. Okay? Well, that's just an entirely different argument, and now you're just pivoting back to what you pivoted away from originally.
So okay, then I have another question for you.
Okay.
What's your stance then on cases of rape? Do you think it should be the whole pregnancy?
Yeah.
So even at 30 weeks,
Yeah, no, I don't think that a great victim has any obligation to provide their bodily resources to a fetus. In fact, I'd argue
At
that the
30
state
weeks,
is.
why couldn't she just do a C-section then? At that point, that baby's viable. Why would I think at that point it's immoral? I think a C-section should be.
So that's what an abortion would look like at 30 weeks is a C-section. Do you think that a victim of rape should be able to access abortion whenever?
If it's a C-section, yes.
What if it kills a fetus?
You're still giving it the chance to survive, so yes. It's different than just killing it on the spot and trying to get it out and save it.
So if a great victim gets an abortion at 15 weeks, that fetus has no chance of survival.
At 15 weeks, I said I made exceptions for grape. I think they should be able to get an abortion at 15 weeks for grape. I think it should go up to 20 weeks.
Okay,
For cases of grape.
now you're really confusing me. Listen, I think that we need to kind of get back to the basics so we can have an understanding here. So the first reason that you gave me insofar as why you think abortion is wrong is because fetuses have the ability to deploy consciousness at 6 weeks. That claim has been debunked, has been proven false. And then the second reason you've given me insofar as why you think abortion is wrong is because the woman consented to engage in an intercourse, meaning that she has an obligation to deal the outcome of said intercourse. And I debunk that with the use of an analogy of a cancer patient smoking an individual smoking a cigarette and developing lung cancer. So, I mean, at this point, do you have refutation to either of my two positions, or do you wish to try to give me a new argument?
I already told you the cigarette one. I think that's completely irrelevant comparing cancer to a fetus.
Why is that irrelevant?
Because so you're valuing.
Are you saying that it's a bad analogy because a fetus has more value than a cancer cell?
Yes.
Okay, well then see, now you're pivoting to another argument because your position had nothing to do with the value of the fetus and all to do with the obligation that you think the woman has because
comparing
she
a fetus to
consented
cancer,
the risk
a
of
fetus has
pregnancy.
way more value than cancer.
Shelley, I need you to listen to me, okay? I need you to listen to me very closely. So the first argument that you gave me about how it has the ability to deploy sentience at 6 to 7 weeks, that was a value-based argument, okay? That was your argument to argue that fetus has value. Okay, I debunked that argument. I proved it false. I proved it wrong. You do not have an argument that a fetus is morally valuable. You just simply don't have it. Okay, so then you just threw that argument out the window. You threw out the position that a fetus is morally valuable, and then you introduced the position that, okay, I can't demonstrate to you that the life of a fetus is morally valuable, but I could still try to argue that a woman shouldn't be able to get an abortion because she acknowledged the risk of pregnancy when she engaged in intercourse. Therefore, she has an obligation to see it through. All right.
So then, do you think a baby is a parasite?
And granting me this new position that she has an obligation to see that pregnancy through because she acknowledged the risk of pregnancy when she consented to engage in an intercourse. Okay, that argument doesn't invoke anything of value. It just is simply stating that if you engage in an action in which runs the risk of leading to an outcome, such as pregnancy in the case of sex, or lung cancer in the case of smoking a cigarette, you must deal with it. Okay? So yes, my analogy about the cigarette smoker developing lung cancer is analogous. 110% it's analogous. And when you argue that it's not analogous because the fetus is valuable, and the cancer cell is not valuable, you're then shifting your position. But that's fine. Now you just have to argue to me that the life of a fetus is morally valuable. So what is valuable about the life of a fetus?
Wait, so I just want to establish this real quick. You don't think the life of a fetus is valuable, correct?
You're correct.
Okay. So at 9 months, it is still a fetus, right?
So I don't
Nope,
know
no
about
answer.
my terms. I guess when I guess I should add on a little bit more. I don't think it's valuable when it doesn't have the ability to deploy sentience.
Okay.
You got me.
I'm not trying to get you. I just want, like, maybe I was trying to get you a little bit there. But
So go ahead and tell me why you do think it is valuable.
I think at any age that fetus is valuable.
I know, I'm asking you why.
Because it's going to become a life. It's going to have its own, it's literally going to keep growing into a life. At that point, why, if it is an elective
So I just want to
abortion-
clarify, your position is that it's valuable because it's alive?
No, because it is going to be a human.
Okay,
It is going
I've
to...
already disputed that position too. The sperm cell in which led to your conception is going to be a human. Would it be murder to kill that sperm cell?
No, because there's no guarantee it'll be a human.
Is there a guarantee that a fetus will be a human?
Way higher chances, yes.
Oh, so there's not a guarantee. There's just simply a higher chance.
Yeah, chances make a lot. If there's like a 0.001 and then a 99%.
Okay,
Which
well,
one do
first
you
of all,
think
it's
is
not
worse?
99%. 1 in 3 pregnancies leads to a miscarriage. And it's also worth clarifying that the particular question I asked you was if the sperm cell that led to your conception was killed, would that be murder? There is a guarantee that that sperm cell will be a human, will be you.
So you think it's guaranteed that it'll be that sperm cell?
Yeah. Yes.
No.
Shelly, I don't know. I want to make sure that you're hearing me. Would it have been murder to kill the sperm cell that led to your conception? Because it would have been a human in the future.
At the time,
like the guarantee that that sperm cell would have been a human in the future.
Yeah, but at the time there was no
given the
guarantee.
question I'm asking you.
Yeah, so at the time there was no guarantee, so no.
Yeah, yes, there was.
At the time, no.
Yeah, yes,
At the
yes.
time, there was
the
no
fuck,
guarantee which
the
one
fuck
would
there
have.
was. Are you kidding me?
Dude, are you like...
Shelly. Yes, we know this. In retrospect, it is certainly true. 100% certainly
No,
true.
you don't know if the sperm is going to catch or not.
Wait, are you
How
saying
would
that you just couldn't have possessed knowledge of this?
Dude, how do you...
Wait. So now, your argument
you are
is even if
literally
it's
making my brain hurt.
definite.
You are making-
So I just want to clarify. So your position isn't that it's wrong to kill things that will be human in the future, but your position is that it's wrong to kill things that you think will be human in the future.
So you never answered my question. You muted me, so answer my question, then I'll answer yours.
I don't understand what your question is. You're saying that it's wrong to kill things that will be a human in the future.
So, no.
The sperm that led to your conception would have been a human in the future. Like, it's logically implied. So is it wrong to kill that sperm?
At the time, no. There is no... So if
you don't think it's wrong to kill that sperm, if you don't think it's wrong to kill that sperm, Shelly, so I'm going to put you on mute. If you don't think it's wrong to kill that sperm, then you simply don't think it's wrong to kill things that will be human in the future. So then what's the position of yours that makes you think that the fetus's life is morally valuable? Because it's obviously not that you think it's wrong to kill things that will be human in the future.
I swear, even my vape got sick of you and it just died, so... Anyways, so at the time of Devil's Tango, sex, whatever, okay? There is no guarantee. I hope it dies right now. I hope it burns. There is no guarantee that it's going to catch and that it's going to be the one to fertilize the egg, or that egg is even going to be fertilized. So there is nothing wrong with killing that sperm when there is no guarantee, none at all, that it will catch.
Okay, I just simply don't think that you're understanding what I'm saying, or
I don't think
like
you're
the way that,
understanding
or the way that we use these terms. Okay, so I'm asking you this question in retrospect, given that we have certain knowledge of what's already occurred. Okay, so like the claim that a specific sperm cell led to your conception and was a human in the future is certainly true, right?
Can you repeat that?
So it's like there was a sperm cell in which led to the conception of yourself and became a human, correct?
Yes.
So like in retrospect, that sperm cell had like a 100% certainty of becoming you, correct?
No, it didn't have a 100% chance.
It couldn't have been any other sperm cell because it was that sperm cell.
At the time, there was no
Victoria,
guarantee.
Thank you so much for the galaxy.
At the time, there is no guarantee. At the time, there is zero guarantee. Yes, it did end up happening, but there was no guarantee.
So the fact that we know it ended up okay. Listen, basically, here's what I'm saying. Okay, I don't even know if I have any other way to this question is being asked in retrospect. This is a retrospective question.
I have answered
that we
so many
knew
times
this was
and
going
you
to
don't like my
happen.
answer.
Okay, we knew that this very specific sperm cell was going to lead to your conception. Okay, it's a retrospective question.
At the time, you wouldn't know, though.
It's a hypothetical where we did know.
Hypothetical, you know that baby. You say 1 in 3 is going to lead to miscarriage. You know that baby is going to end up living a good life, and you know that baby is going to make it. Yet you still think it's fine to kill it.
So you would say, hypothetically, if we did know that there was a sperm cell which led to your conception, it'd be wrong to kill that sperm cell.
If we think that there is a sperm cell that would 100% lead to my conception, yes.
Do you think that'd be murder?
No, it wouldn't be murder.
Okay, so it's not. So abortion isn't murder either.
I don't think abortion is murder. I think it's wrong.
Oh, okay. Then also,
I
so
never
now,
once said abortion is
here's
murder.
the crazier part. So now you are
I
saying that it
agree
is.
it's not- I
So now,
agree
so
it's
now you're
not-
saying that it is wrong to like kill a sperm in which we know would have led to like the conception of you. So let's just assume that your mom. And
If
dad,
you knew 100%,
Hey,
but there's
hey,
no way to know 100%.
hey, Shelley?
So your
Hey,
question
Shelley?
means nothing.
Hey, Shelley, you're gonna go on mute now because you're interrupting me. Okay, back to the hypothetical. So now let's assume that both your parents did know this tonight, that they were engaging in intercourse that led to your conception. Are you saying that it would have been wrong for your mother to revoke consent from engaging in intercourse with your dad?
Your question has no value because there is no chance to know that. So your question has no value. Give me a question that has value and something we could know.
Okay, so Shelley, this is what we call a hypothetical. Hypotheticals are incredibly useful for intellectual debate because it makes
Your
us
thing
better
isn't
able to
useful.
understand the principles in which underlie our positions. And when you give me the position that it's wrong to disrupt an environment in which will yield a human in the future, such as under your view, killing a fetus or a sperm in which led to the conception of said fetus, this would also include like the environment of engaging in intercourse and seeing it through. So given that your mom and your dad knew that your conception would have occurred given that they engaged in intercourse and saw it through, they begun to engage in intercourse and your mother revoked consent, she would have disrupted the environment in which led to a future human, just like killing the sperm in which led to your conception or killing the fetus, right? So in other words, would you say that your mother revoking intercourse from engaging with your father on that night, given they have certain knowledge that conception would have occurred if she didn't revoke intercourse, would have been just as wrong as a woman getting an abortion?
No, because there's no guaranteed way to know.
So, Shelley, once again, you're changing the parameters of my hypothetical. Under the parameters of my hypothetical, they do know that if they do see the intercourse through, that conception will occur.
Yeah, under the parameters of your unrealistic hypothetical, then yeah.
Okay, so it would have been wrong for your mom to revoke engaging in intercourse. So basically, you're saying that if she didn't want to engage in intercourse with your dad should have raped her.
No one said they should have raped her.
What do you think the word should means? The word means should means good. And if you're saying it'd be bad for your mother to revoke engaging in intercourse with your dad, this means that it would be good for your dad to continue engaging in intercourse with your mom.
No, first of all, if she still consented, yeah, it would be good if that fetus, but it doesn't mean he should if she revoked consent. Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, that's abortion. You think that abortion
No.
should be illegal. So do you think that your mother revoking engaging in intercourse with your dad the night you were conceived should also have been illegal? She shouldn't legally been allowed
No,
to
because
revoke
it
it.
wasn't a fetus yet.
Oh, it wasn't a fetus yet?
No.
Okay, so your position has nothing to do with the future existence of human life and all to do with the value of a fetus, like just the fact that it's
It is
a
a
fetus.
fetus, though,
So in other
not-
words, your argument is that a fetus is valuable because it's a fetus. Okay, so it's a circular position. My response is pretty simple. It's just simply put that a fetus is not valuable because it's a fetus.
I think it's valuable as a fetus because it is his own thing. By that point, it's its own life. By
Okay.
that point, it has its own heartbeat.
Okay, so you're saying that it's just wrong because it's its own life with its own heartbeat, right?
Yes.
Are you a vegan?
Am I a vegan? Yes, actually, I am.
Okay, do you think that our government should legally obligate and mandate everyone to be a vegan?
No.
Okay, so in other words, you do think it's wrong to kill a chicken, just like it's wrong to kill a fetus. However,
No, I
you
don't think
that
it's wrong to
individuals
kill a
should be able to.
chicken. I don't think it's wrong to kill a chicken. I'm allergic to meat, and that's why I'm vegan.
Oh, but I thought you said that it's wrong to kill living organisms with heartbeats.
It is wrong to kill a fetus.
Are chickens living organisms with heartbeats?
Yeah, but that's the circle of life. Are you gonna eat that baby? Because
Okay. So it's wrong to kill living organisms with heartbeats unless you eat them. So if a mother got an abortion and ate the dead body of the fetus, that'd be okay.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what you just told me.
No, I told you a chicken. So you're comparing now a baby to a chicken.
Yeah, I'm comparing them given the principle that you gave to me insofar as why the life of a fetus is morally valuable. You told me that the life of the fetus is morally valuable because it's a living
Because
organism
it's
with
going
a
to be a
heartbeat.
human.
That's the underlying principle.
And it's going to be a human.
Look, we've
Humans
already
have more value than
we've already disputed that position.
humans have more value than a chicken. So
We've already disputed that position. The way that we disputed that,
Shut up.
so
It
the
has
way
a heartbeat.
so the way
It
that
has a heartbeat.
so the way that we disputed that position was by simply laying out the fact that there is environments in which are conducive to future human life that you in which you don't think it's wrong to like terminate, such as like the environment of your mom and dad engaging in intercourse, like the value of the sperm in of itself.
So you don't want me to bring it in because
the
it
Maga.
proves your point.
Shelly, I've unironically refuted every single thing you've said.
No, you haven't.
What's one thing that you've said that I haven't refuted?
You compared a chicken to a baby.
So, Shelly, I need you to turn your brain on. The comparison between the chicken and the fetus was a simple fact that the reason you said the fetus was morally valuable.
You
because
ignored the fact that I said.
Hey, Shelly. Stop interrupting me. The position you gave me, the reason, the principle you gave me, insofar as why you said the life of the fetus was morally valuable, was because it was its own living organism with a heartbeat. Okay? The way we use principles is in this all-encompassing fashion. Principles are true in all applicable contexts. So if you say it's wrong to kill living organisms with a heartbeat, that will mean it's wrong to kill a fetus. However, it will also mean it's wrong to kill a chicken. Because just like a fetus, which is a living organism with a heartbeat, chickens are also living organisms with heartbeats.
I have a question for you. That's not a hypothetical.
So given your principle, there is a comparison between a chicken and a fetus. Now, if you don't think that there should be a comparison between a chicken and a fetus, that's not my problem. That's yours. Because you're the one that gave a principle in which makes the two life forms comparable.
So then answer this. So again, your abortion status or requirements are because when it has a heartbeat, right?
What? I don't value a heartbeat. I value sentience. I've already told you that.
Okay, so let's say there is someone there's an old lady in the hospital, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She can't feel anything right now. She's in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Is it wrong to go take a knife and stab her?
Yeah, coma patients still have moral value because they fall under my conjunct of greater value, which is past or present and future subjective experiences.
Wait,
it's
but
not worth explaining the nuances
it has no feeling.
So you're right. Coma patients don't currently exhibit and or express sentience. However, coma patients fall into my conjunctive value, which is past or present and future subjective
But the other thing too is viability. That they say that, oh yeah, she's not gonna live if we take her off this.
I don't value viability. It just happens to align with my view of valuing sentience.
See, but that's a point you brought up. So sentience too. Okay, sentience and viability. She doesn't have either.
So
of those.
I just
Why would it
clarified.
be wrong?
I don't value viability. It just happens to align with when sentience occurs.
So sentience too then. Why she doesn't have any feeling? Why would it be wrong?
So I will now repeat this for the third time. I still value coma patients because coma patients fall into my conjunct of value, which is an expression of past or present and future subjective experiences. So because coma patients have past subjective experiences and future subjective experiences, I still value them.
There is no future subjective experiences. She's going to be dead.
Okay, well then they're not a coma patient; they're a brain dead patient, and I don't value them. It's okay to pull the plug on brain dead patients.
Okay, so let's say someone's brain dead. Can I just go take a knife and stab him? And should I be charged with murder if I do?
I mean, well, given that like a family like doesn't consent to you stabbing them, yeah, that'd be wrong because you're gonna be violating like the property rights.
So the family then.
Hey,
okay.
Shelly, are you gonna let me finish answering your question?
The fetus's dad.
Shelly, are you gonna let me finish answering your question? If you're gonna ask me a question, you have to let me answer it, Shelly. Or I'm so sorry. Is this like a conversation where we can't have nuance? So yeah, I do believe that it is wrong to like go up to a brain dead patient and stab them 10 times in their chest, just like I think it's wrong to go up to a dead body and stab them 10 times in their chest.
That wasn't my question.
Yeah, it was.
Do you think I should be charged with murder?
Should you be charged with murder if you were to stab them 10 times in your chest?
A brain dead patient, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
also,
because it was the unjustified killing of a human life. But it's not unjustified for the reason that the brain dead patient has the right to life, but it's rather unjustified for the reason that it violates like either like the intentions of like the family of the brain dead patient or like your own like negative mental states and intentions of doing so alongside some other trivial reasons that I want to be able to denote, just like I want to be able to describe to you why I think it's wrong to grape a dead body.
great. Next, your other argument for that was
Can you
the
tell me what's
family.
wrong with what I just said? Like I think it's like wrong to do cruel and unusual things even to life forms that I don't grant the right to life, such as brain dead patients or dead bodies.
Or such as pulling the limbs off of a fetus.
So I mean I don't think that a medical practice is cruel and unusual, but I mean if you think that it is cruel and unusual and that's the reason why you think it's wrong, this must mean that you do think that the abortion pill is not wrong since it doesn't pull the limbs off of a fetus and rather cuts off the supply of progesterone to the fetus and essentially starves it before it has any experiences, right?
No, I was giving you another example from your thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, obviously, then you'd just simply point out the fact that the way in which a fetus is killed through an abortion practice is not morally relevant insofar as why you think it's wrong. It's more so just like pro-life propaganda.
Yeah, so I was giving you another hypothetical, like you gave me one for my question. Also, another thing in my
Can you
argument.
wait? I have a question. Do you think it's
No,
wrong?
I am asking a question right now.
So
You're
you've asked
telling
me like four
no,
questions. I can't
you're
ask you
telling me
one,
not
Shelley.
to interrupt. Let me finish what I was saying. You're telling me not to interrupt. You're like, wait, no.
Shelley,
Your
with all due
argument.
respect, I've been answering your questions. You started
Okay,
off
so
by asking
let
me.
me finish this, and then you can answer.
You started off by asking me if it's wrong to like repeatedly stab a brain dead patient, and I was like, yeah, I think that cruel and unusual
And then you
treatment.
asked me about graping a dead body.
Shelley, do you think it'd be wrong to like stab and grape a dead body?
Yes.
Oh wow. Do dead bodies fall outside of your value conjunct of like
I
present
don't
human
think you
life?
should be charged, though.
What?
What do you mean? What I said? I think you should be charged, though.
Oh, I thought you said that you didn't think it should be charged.
No.
So here's the point which I'm trying to describe. Okay, like questions. So questions such as like, oh, do you think it's wrong to like repeatedly stab a brain dead patient, grape a dead body, etc. Like, yeah, we could agree that it's wrong to do those things, and we could agree that those should be punishable by the law. However, I don't think that those are relevant to the conversation of abortion. Okay, like for instance, we both acknowledge that we have these conjunctions of value. Mine is sentience, yours is future human life. Okay. And when you ask the question, would it be wrong to like repeatedly stab a brain dead patient? You're essentially saying, well, brain dead patients fall outside of your principle of moral value. Therefore, it should be okay to do whatever you want to them. But that's actually not true. Okay. This isn't true
I
under
don't
my
think you
view,
should be able
and
to
this
do
isn't
it.
and this isn't true under your view either. Okay. There's like entities that fall outside of both of our principles for moral value that we agree still have like some low level of protection, such as brain dead patients or dead bodies.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
Right, perfect. So there you go.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Mhm.
Okay, so one of your arguments with that was the family. What about the other family of that fetus, like the dad whose sperm went in there? Like, I do think if abortions were to be made legal, I don't think the dad should have any of the final say. But relating back to your question, I'm putting out there right now, I don't think the dad should have any final say if abortions were to be made legal. But relating back to your
my position
question,
on this is simple. If we give men a say over what a woman can or can't do with their body in the context of abortion, then we're essentially saying that men should be able to control the bodies of women. And I would prefer to reject that notion compared to giving the father a say so over the life of the fetus because his sperm aided and abetted in its conception. Because in order to give the father any type of say so over the life of the fetus, we're also thereby giving the father say so over the life of the mother. And I don't think that's permissible. Not to mention, that's not what a woman consents to when she engages in intercourse. I'll just give you an example. Like, when everybody watching this live consents to engage in intercourse, what are you consenting to? The practice of sex, or like the practice of sex and possibly giving another human control and say so over your body for the next 9 months? You're not consenting to that second part.
yeah, no, and I agree with you on that, and I'm glad you think that too. I'm not saying it should be right. I'm just, saying that the family argument on the other one, relating it back to that. But yeah, no, I do agree with you on that. The next thing too, we can come back to abortion, but I want to keep having a respectful and civil conversation, and I feel myself getting.
Whoa. I mean, Shelley, you haven't like refuted anything I've said to any of your arguments. You gave me an argument: the life of a fetus was morally valuable because it will be human in the future. I disputed that, no response. You said it was morally valuable because it was a life of the heartbeat. I disputed that, no response. You said it was morally valuable because, not that it's morally valuable. You said that abortion's wrong because the mother has an obligation to sustain the pregnancy, given that she engaged in an action of sex, which ran the risk of pregnancy in the future. I disputed that, no response. It's like every single time you've given me a reason why you think the action's wrong, and then I like debunk it, you just give no response and move on to the next thing. Like even in like the questions that you just asked there about brain dead patients and dead bodies, I disputed them, and then you gave me no response, and now we're just moving on to the next thing. I feel like a debate isn't merely just you positing a claim, me refuting it, then you pivoting to the next claim. But a debate should be you posit a claim, I refute it, and then you either contend my refutation or concede. So at this point, I'll either ask you to contend any of the refutations that I've given you to all of your principles insofar as why you think that abortion should be illegal, or concede that abortion should not be illegal. Brianna, thank you for the galaxy.
I will say that you got me on a lot of those. I'm not gonna lie. You have better points than me. I do think, for me, one belief that will probably not change. I mean, I can't say never. Is that it is wrong, but I do understand your point of that. Even though, like, I think it's wrong, like it still should be the mother over it.
Right. That's kind of the conclusion that I want to have yielded here. It's just
Okay.
that it shouldn't
Yeah,
be
I can.
legal.
I think one. Okay. What can we come to a civil agreement on this? Great patience, yes. Medical, yes.
I don't agree all the way up to 24 weeks. I do think that's a little too far, but I could say maybe
We can end it at 12.
What happens at 12 weeks that makes you think abortion should be illegal at that point?
I don't think just because anything specifically happens. I think it's because it gives you enough of a window period once you find out. You can usually find out you're pregnant. You know what I mean?
Here's the issue with your position. You're telling me that this action should be illegal not because you value the life of the fetus, but all because you think that the mother's had enough time to already do it. You're making it about the mom. You're not making it about the life of the unborn. That's why I think that the quote-unquote pro-life movement is, in all reality, a pro-control movement of women and their bodies.
Yeah, no, and I can see where you're coming from with that. One thing I will say is you have changed my perspective a little bit, not on everything. I do still think it's wrong, but I do think that it should be, I mean, an option up to some point. I'm not too sure on that point yet. I'm just coming to this conclusion. I haven't done enough research, but I can come to a civil thing on that of up to some point. It shouldn't just be illegal, even though I think it's wrong.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's other things you said you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so I was
Okay.
going to ask.
Before we hop into it, I just got a couple people to thank. Okay. Hugo, thank you for the 12 pounds over on YouTube Super Chat. I do really appreciate you so much for the love. Thank you so much. As well as Jennifer with the $10 on Super Chat, Katie with a 5, and then Salem with the 20. Thank you so much for the love, Salem. That is SALEM. Everybody please show some love to Salem down below in that chat. Salem says, so happy to see you back. I hope you continue to take care of yourself. Your health is very important. Sending love. I really appreciate you for that. That's incredibly kind of you. As well as Carmen with a $50 Super Chat over on YouTube. I do really appreciate you so much for the love, Carmen. That is so incredibly kind of you. Everybody, please show some love to Carmen down below in the chat for the $50, dude. Seriously, 500 Carmen W's. Carmen says, Dean, thank you for doing this work. You teach people every day, even if it's not the people in the queue. I guarantee you're changing the world. Carmen, I do really appreciate you for the kind message. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of rusty, just getting back into things. This is like the first debate I've had in a handful of days, but I do really appreciate you for that love, Carmen. As well as Dolce, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I am doing all right. And Jenna with a 25. Thank you, Jenna. As well as Lovey with a 10. I'll check my Discord DMs. Everybody, please show some love to Lovey, Jenna, Dolce, as well as others, guys. Thank you all so very much. As well as Brianna, thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal. Brianna says, guys, leave Dean's eye alone. It's a Democratic demon eye. Yeah, it's a DEE. That's right. Thank you so much for the love, Brianna. Anyways, what else did you want to touch on?
Yeah, one question real quick. Where's Parker?
Parker's taking a break right now.
Or sorry, what'd you say?
Parker's taking a break right now.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, I usually see him up here with you. I was making sure he's good. So yeah, the other thing, I was wondering if you could tell me one reason you think Trump is terrible for America.
No, I'm sure he's a fascist.
Honestly, I have no clue what that means.
Well, a really easy way to figure out what a fascist is to go to Google, type in tenets of fascism, FACISM. You could either read the literature or the academia, but typically it's consolidated to around 14 tenets. And I believe that Trump perfectly aligns with all 14 tenets of fascism. He also is like he's just anti-American.
Well,
He tried
one
Constitution 2022, and he told a reporter from ABC that he doesn't know if he has to hold to the Constitution today, and he doesn't even know what the Declaration of Independence is. And that's on top of like trying to coup and rig the outcome of a federal election in 2020, as well as other instances.
Yep. Okay. One thing, I can't debate back on the fascism thing because I haven't done enough research on that. Literally just found out what it is. So that's, I can't really have a say on that because I don't know. But could you say like another like reason that we could debate on? Because I do know that he did some bad things in the 2020 election. I don't even have anything to debate on that. He messed up in the 2020 election. He did some really shitty things.
Emma, thank you so much for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate you. Emma says, always a pleasure to get to watch your streams. Emma, thank you so much for being in here. As well as to the people saying just found out what fascism is. I understand that's a little bit crazy. We should all know what fascism is, but, let's not, like, condemn somebody for being interested and learning more.
I mean, I could say I know what it is and just, like,
yeah,
at least
I appreciate you for being honest and willing to learn more. But, Shelly, at this point, I'm going to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you for coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much for having a civil debate with me. Have a good day.
You as well, Shelly. We're going to move on to the next guest, everyone. Give us a moment to get that next guest up in the box. If you're on that queue, make sure that you do need support Trump, y'all. I need to use the restroom. Oh, man. I need to use the restroom pretty badly, quite frankly. But Parker is not around. Parker cannot help cover because he's taking a break. What will I do? What will I do? Quite frankly, what the hell is Dean going to do? Hey, man, if you're one of the 7.4 thousand people watching on TikTok, make sure that you're double tapping away in that phone screen. Sharing out this live with a handful of friends. What is going on, Emma? Do you support Trump? You don't? Based.
No, I was going to say that I appreciate everything you do on here.
Thank you so much for the love, Emma. You are phenomenal. Moving on to the next guest, everyone. Just give us a minute, y'all. Do give us a minute. We're going to get Glory Boy up on the live. Hyped, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much, Hyped. What's going on, Glory Boy? Do you support Trump?
No, I just wanted to say fuck Trump and fuck Elon Musk for making Twitter racist.
Dude, so real. So real. Twitter is just a cesspool, man. It's so bad on there, bro. It's so bad on there, man. Oh my God. Remember when they used to complain about Jack Dorsey saying that it was like a liberal propaganda platform because he just had posted a couple times about how he was left-leaning? But now that we have somebody on Trump's literal administration owning and operating the platform, this is where we're at today. What's up, Baxi? Do you support Trump?
I do not. I'm a centrist, but I was curious. I have two questions if I could ask you.
Feel free to ask me one.
All right. As a centrist, I was curious, why do you think Americans are increasingly voting for candidates on the far left or far right instead of moderates who aim to represent the majority?
Well, I actually don't think that moderates represent the majority right now. And here's the deal. I think, tough times call for more extreme measures. And when we see an incredibly far right leaning president such as Trump, it's just gonna prop up more extreme support for further left movements. And I don't even know what a moderate is right now. I don't know what a moderate in America looks like. What is a centrist when we're having conversations about how the current administration is fascist? How do you take like the middle of the road approach on that issue? What's the moderate perspective on economic policy?
I could give you an example of what I look like, but I'm not sure I'm fully representative of what the middle is, I guess you would say.
I don't know. I think that today the moderates are the Democrats. Maybe, but I appreciate you for coming up and, good questions, good thing to think about. But we are just looking to have some conversations with people that do support the current administration. I really do think that right now, the Democrats are moderates. It makes any sense? You know what I mean? I'm not so sure that you could have a right-leaning moderate. I'm not convinced that it's even a thing right now. Not here. If you're one of the 7.2 thousand people double tapping away in that in the TikTok stream, let me know down below in that chat, y'all. If you'd like to come up here and have a conversation. Adam, thank you so much for the $100 on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love, Adam. That is so incredibly kind. Thank you so much, Adam. Everybody, please show some love to Adam down below in that chat. Adam says, you coming live was a highlight of my day. Adam, it is so good to see you. And thank you so much for the $100 donation. That is seriously insane. Everybody, show some love to Adam down below in that chat. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much, Adam. Very, very kind. Very, very kind. Thank you, Adam. We're going to move on to the next guest right now. Hey, what's going on? Do you support Trump? Great perspective. Great perspective, quite frankly. Phenomenal perspective. At the end of the day, couldn't it be better? Could not be better. Could not be better, quite frankly.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Emma? How old are you?
What?
How old are you?
I'm 14. I just wanted to say hi, and I really.
Sorry, Emma. Appreciate you for coming up and saying hi, though. We're going to move on to the next guest, Sam. We got Sam loading into the live. Shout out, Emma. Shout out, Emma. Gangsta, thank you so much for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you for the love, Gangsta. Gangsta says, Dean, I wish I could call in just to say a word or two. I think, at some point this week, we're going to do that. We're just going to have a stream where we're talking to the community and whatnot. I think it's been a long time waiting. But thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Everyone, please do show some love to Gangsta down below. Thank you so much. What's going on, Sam? You support Trump?
Well, I'm British, so it doesn't even matter, but I don't.
Shout out you, Sam. Shout out you, Sam. We're going to move on to that next guest. Yo, go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that TikTok live comment section if you want to come up and debate. Yeah, do that. Do that, quite frankly. Do that, quite frankly. Who's next? Who we got? Get me in a MAGA. Somebody in the chat says, that was my daughter. Emma, why did you kick her out? I'm going to find you. Jesus Christ, calm down. Crazy. Nobody wants the heat, supposedly. That's what I'm hearing, quite frankly. Hey, what's going on? How old are you?
27. Can you hear me?
20. Yeah, I sure can, man. Do you support the current administration?
Support the principles of most Republicans. And I say most because, there's some that
I have
are
a question.
Yeah.
What traditional Republican principles still stand today in the Trump administration? I don't see them.
I mean, I will say some of them have strayed slightly, like the tariffs. I mean, I'm a free market capitalist. Republicans have always disliked tariffs.
Trump isn't a free market capitalist.
Hold on.
So what are the principles that still stand?
I know you're going to go down that path, but there is something to be said about hollowing out the manufacturing and having to do something. And yeah, we don't like tariffs, but it's not as bad as inflation. You have
tariffs aren't going to cause inflation, dude. We may even be we potentially may experience stagflation in a recession.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, it isn't the best thing to do. Tariffs aren't the best thing to do, but it's better than what has been happening so far.
According to what economic metric?
Again, I'm not here to. We don't need to I'm not the biggest fan of tariffs. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'm a free market capitalist. But again, the principles of Republicans, I think I agree with more than Democrats, and I think Trump is a new wave Republican for sure. But I would much rather side with him and compared to a Democrat that's trying to take your gun. So let's just talk about gun policy. I think he understands that most of the nation, wants some type of what's it called? Their right to bear arms. Now, you might not like that, and there are some people that don't like that. But I mean, I see the value in having my right to protect myself.
Okay. All right. So real quick, out of the last two administrations, Trump and Biden-Harris, which one passed gun control?
Not sure. You tell me.
The Trump administration, bump stock ban. Which one passed unconstitutional gun control that was stricken down by the Supreme Court?
Tell me.
The Trump administration with a bump stock ban. So,
Well,
I mean, if we just look, historically speaking, the last two presidential administrations, and we simply observe which one passed any gun control, which is Trump, but then on top of that also observe which one passed gun control that literally did infringe upon your Second Amendment rights. That was also Trump. And I mean, if you just value the Constitution and the rights in which you have because of the Constitution, Trump would be like your least favorite president ever. He tried to violate your right to vote in 2020 when he tried to install himself as a candidate, rigging the election, attempting to steal it from Biden. He called for those reasons, of the articles in the Constitution in December 2022. He's already been violating the constitutional rights of many individuals in this country, such as Abrego Garcia. The Supreme Court ordered Trump to facilitate his return because he was not granted due process, and the Trump administration told him no. Then he went on an interview with ABC News. He was asked if he has to uphold the Constitution. He told them he had no fucking clue. Okay, and he's run on other constitutional violations in the last two of his administrations, such as throwing people in prison for burning the American flag, which is strictly protected under our First Amendment right to freedom of expression, and ruled on by the Supreme Court in 1978. So, in other words,
hold on.
This traditional patriotic Republican value of caring about the Constitution has been decimated, ran over, and destroyed by this wannabe.
Well, let's just stick to like gun control for a second. So for those reasons, you actually support Trump then. If he's so like adamantly against like my right to bear arms, then you support him for everything he's been doing, right?
So I mean, I don't know enough about the bump stock ban, what a bump stock is.
Oh God! So now you don't know. Right. So
why
let me
are you
ask
cutting
you
me off while I'm responding to your question?
I've done a pretty good job of letting you speak.
No, you haven't. You just cut me off. You asked me a question if that means I support Trump, and then you cut me off.
Oh God. Okay. So
can I finish responding to your question?
Okay, so you just cut me off.
Because I still haven't finished responding to your question.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so you said, oh, well, Dean, if Donald Trump was passing unconstitutional gun control, this must mean that you support him. So first, through pragmatic lens, absolutely fucking not. Are you kidding me? Unconstitutional legislation is going to get us nowhere, okay? Why would this give me reason to support him if it's not going to move the pendulum whatsoever insofar as gun control in this country? And then B, I don't know what a bump stock ban is, so I don't know if it's like common sense gun reform that I would support. There you go. There's a genuine answer to your bad faith question.
So your overall. So do you think that the Kamala campaign or whatever, or any type of Democrat would be easier on guns?
I think that Kamala Harris like ran on more gun control than him. Like I think that she wanted to ban ARs. I don't think that he did. But I mean, this would have never have posed a threat to your Second Amendment rights if it were to have been passed, because, well, it would have been passed and the Supreme Court wouldn't have checked it. And if the Supreme Court did check it, guess what? It never would have been implemented because the Supreme Court today is conservative leaning 6-3, good amount of scrutiny. So, I mean, I actually don't think that there was a material difference insofar as the policy of the candidates as it related to respecting the Second Amendment. But once again, I think that this just calls for the broader conversation of upholding the Constitution, and we all know who comes in last place. In fact, I'd argue that we've never had a president worse for the Constitution than Donald Trump.
I disagree. I mean, you have Kamala or Biden outright, supporting the ban of certain rifles. So, I mean, you could say that, but that Trump has done certain things to destroy constitutional rights with like removing bump stocks, but you have another candidate. Hold on, you're interrupting me. But you have another candidate that says that they want to outright ban it. So of the two,
that doesn't change my point. 1 second, sir. That doesn't change my point at all. So let's just assume. Let's just give me 30 seconds. Let's just assume, to make this conversation as easy as possible, okay, as easy as possible. Let's just assume that legislation to ban ARs is unconstitutional, and that Kamala Harris did advocate for that constitutional violation. Guess what? Donald Trump is still significantly worse. He's the one that didn't just advocate for constitutional violations, but called for the abolishment of the Constitution. Which one is worse? Advocating for policy that infringes upon one constitutional amendment, or straight up calling for the termination of all of the Constitution?
I don't believe he's calling for the abolishment of the Constitution.
December 2022. December
Okay.
2022, he called for the abolishment of all rules and regulations, even those found in the Constitution, because he believed that the 20.
That's like that. Can I say something? That's like when Democrats will say something like, he came in and he wants to. He said he's going to stop the Russian and Ukraine war on day one, and he didn't stop the war on day one. Like, there's some things he may say that are like hyperbolic, and it's like you guys take it a little quite literal.
Okay, I want you to tell me how this statement reads. This is from Trump, December of 2022. So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democratic Party, do you throw out the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Okay, and keep in mind this statement came after he tried to steal the election from Biden by installing fake votes for himself in Congress. I don't think that reads hyperbolic. I don't think that reads satirical. I think that reads very seriously.
I don't really see that. I don't see that. And maybe you could like pull up your little few points or examples, but I don't think that speaks to like the broader principle. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are lagging a little bit. But I mean, I'm kind of happy that you're lagging because I can't hear like the cope in 4K. Like, this is just mental gymnastics. You know, like, if there's anything that increases my cortisol levels, it's this type of mental gymnastics where I'm like, Trump literally called for the Constitution, for the abolition of the Constitution. And then the Trump supporters like, no, he didn't. Then I read off a statement where he literally did. And you're like, oh, he wasn't being serious. Even like when that statement comes after, he didn't just call for it, but also materially like tried to overthrow the results of the election himself and admitted to it. You know, like, it's just like...
Dean has repeated it like more often than not, but like this is not just like a one-off. He does this like constantly. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you would have a point if he like said it once in a blue like 10 years ago, but he hasn't. He said it like last week. So I mean, this is not like a new thing.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, Matt. Thank you so much for coming up here and helping me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. Okay. Kuzi, is that your name? I don't know how to say your name, but you're out of the app right now, so.
Who say?
Oh,
it doesn't
okay.
matter.
But yeah, I mean, so like I'm confused also about your whole point. What?
I mean,
what?
I still believe that Trump has better, I guess, like overall views of gun policy than any Democratic, candidate.
Really? So I don't remember any Democrat in the last 30 years saying, let's take guns first and have due process second. Trump said that in 2018.
When has a Democrat said not
take guns first, due process second?
There is constant rhetoric. Wait, there is constant rhetoric of Democrats saying stuff like, "Oh, we should outright ban guns."
Oh, no.
There should be more guns.
Hold on. See, no. Now you're shifting what I'm saying. Banning guns does not mean no due process. Trump said, "Let's take guns first and do due process second." He seems to not like due process. I don't know what it is about due process that he doesn't like, but like he seems to like not like it.
Oh yeah, no. Let's also not forget how he literally told the ABC interviewer that he doesn't think that undocumented migrants deserve due process. Like the ABC interviewer was like, yeah, like this is a constitutional right that they have. The Supreme Court has ruled it so, and then he was essentially like, I don't care.
Well, I mean, that's a little, but in what way do they not deserve due process? I mean, when we talk about due process, if, like, let's just say an immigrant has a family member that was killed or their child has been killed, and then you have, like, a chance to go in front of the courts and use our court system, I think you have that right. But when it comes to their, like, cases where it's about their immigration status and about how they entered the country, I think it gets a little tricky there.
No, it doesn't at all.
No, it
doesn't at all.
Yeah,
well,
they have the right to due process through an immigration court. They do have that constitutional right. The Supreme Court made it very clear to us in their ruling about Abrigo Garcia specifically. Yep.
So when an immigrant comes into the country illegally, and it's been like a few days, he still has the right to go to the court,
Yes.
and then what happens?
Yes. Yes.
For them to determine
that?
is their status of residency, to determine if they actually are undocumented, as well as like some
Sure.
better
Claims
judges
of
will also,
asylum,
like
claims of danger, all those
determine
things.
if like they have a claim of
Yeah.
asylum or danger in their home country, or if like they're proactively
And
working
and
towards
right
like, a
now
legal
that's
status.
and you sure. And right now that's not happening.
No,
Yeah,
that's not happening. That's why there's court cases, and he's trying to send people away without them being in court first. Just today, there was a court ruling. Trump wants
Right,
to
but on
send
the
migrants.
average,
Hold on,
on the
please don't interrupt
average,
me.
are they
Please don't interrupt me.
on the
Hold on. Trump just today said he wants to send undocumented migrants to Libya, right? And they raced to the court system just today to make sure that that did not happen because they don't want him to send people to Libya with like no due process because he tends to do that.
Yeah, and then he defends it. He says that he's not going to honor the Supreme Court's ruling for him to facilitate Abrigo Garcia's return. He's not going to do it. And then he told ABC in their 100 days in interview that he just simply doesn't think they deserve due process. And then he told another ABC interviewer that he doesn't even know if he has to hold to the Constitution. So it's like he recognizes that, yes, it is unconstitutional to not grant undocumented migrants due process. He recognizes that, but his argument is that he doesn't think they deserve it, and he doesn't know if he has to really care about the Constitution all too much.
on the average, every migrant that they're grabbing,
Why does
they're
the
not
average
going to
matter?
take them to court. They're just grabbing them and tossing them out. Well, because if you're
No.
nitpicking like
I'm
certain
going to say
cases,
it.
then I don't think
Any
that's kind of
person,
fair.
I don't care if they're undocumented or not. Any one person who was sent out of this country without any due process, that's a travesty because it makes a mockery of our Constitution.
I gotta hop in here real quick. This
Sure.
is an analogy to what you're saying.
Sure,
Okay, let's
but-
assume during American slavery, only 30% of humans in America were enslaved, and the other 70% of humans in America were the enslavers. On average, the average American was not enslaved. This means, according to your logic, that it didn't really matter all too much.
Say if you're saying it's different to say that everyone is not getting due process, and it's different than
No, wait,
to
it's
say,
not slipping through
okay,
the
maybe
cracks.
a few
Stop
of them
it.
have
When you
slipped through the
imply
cracks, and
they're
maybe there's
slipping through the
special.
cracks, that means no. Let me make this incredibly clear. This is what you're saying is just absolutely false. They're not merely slipping through the cracks, because slipping through the cracks implies
If I could
that
mute
this
you, I would.
wasn't supposed to happen. Okay, this implies that they were supposed to get due process and they didn't, and it wasn't supposed to happen.
Okay, no, I'm
and
saying-
this was just a failure of negligence of the administration. But the Trump administration has made it incredibly clear that yes, this is supposed to be happening in accordance with their goals. They are intentionally circumnavigating due process for undocumented migrants, and they're intentionally ignoring, orders from the Supreme Court to right their wrongs, orders from federal judges and circuit courts to right their wrongs, and they just simply don't care. Okay, this isn't slipping through the cracks. This is going straight through the front door.
Can you hear me? So, why is it that there are some migrants that are getting due process and others that aren't?
You'd have to ask somebody more informed than me.
The same reason why
Wait, no, but
some
you're
good things happen
saying-
to people, something bad. Wait, hold on.
No, no.
Because they
And listen,
because,
we don't need
because
to speak,
no
we don't need to speak into. Okay.
what? You asked a
So
question.
if you're saying, wait, no, I'm saying, so if you, because let me just elaborate a little bit clearer. If you're saying their like purpose is to circumnavigate due process, and they are
That's what they're
intentionally do
saying.
not give a shit, hold on, they do not give a shit about due process, then why are they giving it to some certain people?
Wait. It's not even a then why. That's
Well,
exactly
why-
what Trump has
but
said.
you're- Okay, but why is that? Why is it? But you're making the claim that they don't care about due process, but in reality,
like once
there
again,
are some
that's,
people that do their due
I want to clarify.
there's a-
I'm going
I
to
think there's
I'm going to
special
clarify for the
cases.
very last time. I'm not the one that made that claim. Trump's the one that made that claim. Your question? Ask Trump.
Also, too, just to mention, all regimes that move towards authoritarianism, they don't always go after everybody at once. They always start with one group and then they migrate to more groups and more groups. They don't just go after everybody at once. Trump has picked on undocumented migrants for a very specific reason. It's because he believes that by doing so, most Americans won't care about it. But it turns out that we do. These Americans can have two opinions at once. They can say, yes, we want to have better security, right? But we don't want to send people out of the country without their due process. Two things can be true at once.
I think on the average he's handling migration much better. I think majority of the country saw a big problem with migration. You see New York City, a more liberal leaning state, and they're even having a crisis over there. I mean, do you agree with that, at least, that it's kind of a crisis
I
and
would
that
appreciate
we
it
should
if
at
you-
least handle like,
I'm not comfortable.
do you think
I'm not comfortable with you changing the topic of conversation until you're either to grant us a concession or defend like the actions, okay? Because like basically what I and Matt are pointing out is that Donald Trump doesn't care about the Constitution, and the most recent example of how he's made this incredibly clear to the American people is not granting undocumented migrants due process, deporting droves of undocumented migrants to Venezuela without proper court hearings, and being ordered by a judge to turn the planes around, and literally ignoring the judge. And now that judge is saying that he has, probable cause to hold them in contempt, deporting Brio Garcia to CCOT without due process, then having the Supreme Court order them to facilitate his return, and they just deny and say no. And then Donald Trump taking it one step further by then saying that he doesn't think they did.
are any of those cases like officially been
Yeah.
No.
Brio Garcia is
finished?
for sure.
Oh, wait. What do you mean by done?
Like the no higher court of appeals, likely, is what he said.
Oh, yeah. Well, it all depends. Like one part of it is definitely done, right? But now they have another part because they're not like bringing them back. So that's another part that's like that like starts out of it because the Supreme Court said do this. They said we can't, and so now they have to litigate about what they can do.
Again, I think there are special cases that like warrant those decisions, and
So you're basically
we're
saying that
saying-
Donald Trump ignoring people's constitutional rights can be warranted. Got it.
I'm saying there are certain cases. That's why he's not doing it for quite literally all migrants that have
How do you
crossed
know that?
illegally. And that's because we've just wait. How about we? Hey, yeah, let's look that up. Is every single migrant getting kicked out without due process? Is that what you're
No,
claiming?
that's not what I asked about at all.
Okay,
You
so
said
they
that-
are-
No,
okay, but-
Kusei, I'm going to clarify my question because right now you're trying to straw man it. My question was clear. You said
No,
the
but
reason.
my
No, no,
point
no,
is
no,
that
no, no,
there
no,
is
no,
due
no, 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 no.
process.
You said the reason.
You're saying there's no due
Kusei,
process.
You
made
said
it.
the reason. You said the reason why he's not taking due process away from all undocumented migrants is because he only is taking due process away from special warranted undocumented migrants. How do you know that? How do you know that's why he's not taking due process away from all undocumented migrants? You don't.
My
You
point.
fucking don't. Exactly.
My
Make your
point is that you guys are making the claim that he's taking away due process. Point. Period.
No,
Blank.
we
That's
did not
it.
make that claim.
Yes,
No,
you are making
no,
that claim.
we said he has done it, and in my position is clear.
Okay, well, for
one
certain-
person,
for
I don't care who
certain-
you are, one person who does not get due
Oh,
process
one
is a
person.
violation of our Constitution,
they always
and
say
therefore is illegal and must be fought against. That's my position.
So I want to make this clear, and I want you to listen very closely to me.
There are
No,
specific
you're
cases that
interrupting
maybe
me
it's-
right now. Stop talking. I want to make this clear, and I want you to listen to me very closely. Okay? You are proactively changing our position to better fit this narrative of yours. You're strawmanning the hell out of what we're saying. You're strawmanning the hell out of what we're thinking. And when I ask you a genuine good faith question that you can't respond to, you ignore it. Okay? I'm going to ask you this question for the third time. If you ignore it for the third time, I'm going to move on to the next guest. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. So you said very clearly that the reason Donald Trump is taking due process away from some undocumented migrants, but not all undocumented migrants, is because it is warranted in special circumstances surrounding very specific undocumented migrants. How do you know that's the
Sure.
reason he's only taking due process away from some undocumented migrants? How do you know that? Or is that just purely speculative?
Because I would think that if he's doing it to everyone, that would change the motive, right? That would kind of prove your point a little bit better. But if it's for specific people, specific cases, and it's like not like everyone that is experiencing that, then I would
No,
think
I mean, but that's the
those
problem,
that
though.
would show his motives.
So just real quick, Matt, I do apologize because
sure.
I just wanted to finish out on
Yes, sir.
the question and your response to it. Once again, like, you are just speculating, okay? And this is just speculation to further fit a narrative that the fascist is justified in perpetuating fascism, okay? Right? At the end of the day, Donald Trump is willingly and intentionally taking due process away from individuals in which deserve due process given the American Constitution, and ignoring anybody who tries to check him, including circuit courts, federal judges, and the Supreme Court, okay? Right? And you are attempting to defend these actions by baselessly speculating that it's warranted in these circumstances. And I find this mindset to be incredibly detrimental to the state of our country and to the values in which underpin it if we are supposed to uphold the Constitution with sovereignty and respect. Okay? And I feel like these attitudes just further perpetuate fascism in America. These attitudes further perpetuate the consolidation of power to the executive branch because they basically demonstrate to the fascists that people support is fascism.
Well, I again, I think we could agree to disagree. I think there are going to be certain cases that this happens.
Then you have to demonstrate
but I
that
think
it's not
overall,
speculation by justifying it, but you're not doing that. You can't do it.
wait, because we've already proven it by saying that all these cases, it's not like all cases, all these people are just getting immediately deported. I
But
think
you're not
we've
understanding
agreed.
the point,
We've
though.
agreed
It's a
that there's certain people that have
no,
been.
but look, you're
That
not
have got due
understanding.
process.
I think what you're not understanding is that when Article 5, or sorry, not Article 5, when Amendment 5 and Amendment 14 say that no person shall be deprived of due process, it's point blank period right there. That no person, okay? There's only two instances found in the Constitution when somebody can be deprived of it, and that's from Article 1, okay? And so you can go and see that those two requirements have not been met, okay? They have not been met. And what?
I understand, but I'm saying I think their ambition, sure, I think is a little bit better than the ambitions of like Democrats that have kept the border wide open and allowed fraud, allowed lying, allowed manipulation of our current
Once
system.
again,
And okay,
we are
Trump
okay.
comes in.
You can make
finished.
2 points at once and still have a fine idea. We can claim, some people can claim that they want a tighter border, but not want people deported without due process. Those two things can live together, but that's not what's happening.
Also, by the way, your claim that the Democrats left the border wide open, that's just other propaganda, but we'll get to that.
How is that not propaganda, dude?
I mean, sure.
Why
In two sentences, I'll prove to you why that's just propaganda, and you're gonna see it, and then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that was a silly comment I made. All that you're saying when you say that the Democrats left the border wide open, that the Biden-Harris administration left it open, is that the policy for the border passed under the Trump administration opened the border, and then because they simply let that policy play out and took a step back, they left it wide open. So saying that the Biden administration left the border open is saying that Trump opened it. See what I mean? See how that's a silly claim? Like a really silly claim?
The Biden administration has handled the border as
different claim. That's a different claim. Let's stay on track with your first claim that they left the border wide open and how that implies that Trump opened it.
What do you mean Trump opened it?
Well, I mean, sure. Do you think that Trump he passed a shit ton of border policy in his first administration? It's what he ran on, and it's what a lot of Trump supporters talk about. So if the Biden-Harris administration, the administration that followed his term, simply took a step back and left it open, okay. Well, I mean, that this implies that the policy passed by Trump in his first term opened it. Like, you know? I mean, I think it's clear. Or did like Trump just leave it open too, and it was opened by like Obama or Bush, Clinton, etc.?
Well, what are the numbers on border passings under Trump's first term?
What are the numbers?
Why don't we look into that really quickly? Because I think there are significantly more under Biden's administration.
Okay, there was. So this means this doesn't mean that the Biden-Harris administration left it open. That means they opened it themselves. So what policy did the Biden-Harris administration pass to open the border?
I mean, my overall point was that they didn't handle it as good as I think Trump has handled it, or conservative.
So what policy did they pass to open the
You're
border?
taking it too literally when I say like open the border. Like you're taking that too literally.
What bad border policy did they pass?
It's more of funding the border, getting more border patrol agents out there. I think building
Border Patrol
a
was
wall,
funded more under Biden and Harris's term than Trump's first term.
building a wall, not fighting over that as aggressively.
Building a wall, Trump built
I
less than
think-
50 miles
I
during
think
his first term. And then when
pursuing-
Biden and Harris tried to build more, Trump stopped them.
I think pursuing illegal immigrants a little bit more aggressively, and not just like
Little bit.
Right now, Donald Trump's month-by-month average of deportations is lower than Biden's. Like, come on, man, you got to give me something here, because every point you've made so far is demonstrably
No,
false.
I kind of agree to that, but I believe there should be a little bit more. But
I disagree in mass deportation, but I just want you to tell me like what bad policy the Biden-Harris administration passed, or like what they did bad as it related to the border.
light-handed. I think they were a little bit more light-handed, and sure, maybe
What does that mean?
think-
I need you to give me a
I think
specific
Obama
demonstration. You can't just say
has-
light-handed. I need you to be specific about policy they passed through Congress or executive orders they signed into law.
I don't know the details of that. We could speak like
Also,
generally.
you said more aggressive. Yeah, we should get more aggressive than violating people's constitutional rights. You're a fascist too.
Wait, how am I? Wait, what? How are you making those assumptions? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
we
you're saying that the current fascist policy, the current fascist regime, isn't aggressive enough. Come on.
Wait, how is it? Okay, so what I'm with that or no?
Yeah, that's why I think that they should be offered a pathway to residency or citizenship, given that they haven't committed a violent crime.
So you agree that immigrants shouldn't just waltz right in here?
Yeah, I agree that we need to do something to reduce undocumented entry into America, but I don't think that violating people's constitutional rights, pulling off a mass deportation, or building a wall is going to fix the issue. I think the only way to fix the
How
issue
is that
to make
not
the legal
gonna-
means of entry into our country better. And the reason why those things don't fix the issue in the long term is because they don't address what's causing the issue. I think what causes individuals to have more incentive to enter into America with the use of undocumented means compared to legal means is the fact that the legal means are simply unattainable to many because of how long they take or because of how expensive they are. So if we want to address the root of the issue to reduce the consequent in the long term, that means we need to make the systems of legal migration into America better today.
Why don't we talk about the source of those ambitions to come into a country? How about we talk about the earlier sources of those ambitions? I don't think it's because our system is difficult, but maybe those countries have very bad economic situations. They aren't properly run. So because of that, we should allow all these countries to swarm in here?
No. And see, that's the problem here, too. Democrats, for the last 40 years, have tried to address what you just said, right? We have tried to prop up these nations in order to get their residents to stay.
Maybe we shouldn't
right?
prop it up.
Well, no, hold on. You just advocated for the fact that maybe we should try to stop it from happening right.
No, I didn't say
Right
that
there.
we should. No, I'm just saying just because a country isn't doing so well in a different isn't doing so well economically doesn't mean that we should just allow everyone just to come on in here and just try to get their citizenship.
No one's saying that
I
we should
think
just
the-
allow anyone to come in here with like no checks or anything. But the whole point is to try to figure out why people are actually coming over here in the first place, and to try to lessen those effects, because we don't want to just shut off everybody, because we are a nation that brings people in when they need to come in, because that's one of the reasons why we have this nation to begin with.
Yeah, here's my position. I think anybody that wants to become a resident or citizen of America should be allowed to become a resident or citizen of America, given that they don't have a history of violent crime. And why do you disagree with this position?
I think there's an issue with a rapid influx of like immigration, and how the economy's ability to like withstand it.
Typically,
Most
we've seen like
most
the economic
economists
impacts of
say,
immigration are good. Even
most
like that
economists
of
don't simply say that we should have complete and open like an influx of immigration. The economy can't really bear that. And
actually,
I'm not
the
talking about
economists,
illegal immigration. I'm just talking about
the economists that you follow, unironically, do say that. You're telling me that you're free market capital, like free total entry into America, probably freer
that
than
is
what
not
even I.
necessarily true.
It
That's
is
not
true.
necessarily true.
It is true. The reason why I say that's true is because
Like
labor.
Milton Friedman.
You say I'm trying to describe my position, and I'm trying to reiterate fact to you, and you're just simply like cutting me off, and you're not going to listen, and I find that very insufferable and unbearable. So libertarian economists actually do, for the most part, support essentially free and total entry into America with like no barriers. And the reason that is because labor entry or immigration into America is labor entry into the labor force. And we see a pretty anonymous consensus amongst libertarians that, you know, if we were to like further restrict and or limit immigration into America, that's just a restriction and limitation on labor entry into the workforce. Friedman is one of them. Same thing with Michael Huemer, as well as other like pretty prolific libertarian economists and social.
Well, I
and
understand his
philosophers.
views on immigration, but I don't believe his views on immigration were like complete and open, like migration of all immigrants to come into this nation, make it super easy for them to come in and just work. I don't believe that we had
That's the libertarian
back then.
that's the libertarian perspective. I even just also gave you Michael Huemer.
We weren't libertarian.
Michael Huemer wrote a book about it.
That wasn't that Milton Friedman wasn't he would call himself a hard R Republican, a soft L libertarian.
Oh, okay.
He's not.
Okay, well then you're
he's
not
not-
referencing
he's not-
libertarian economists. Yeah,
Right,
that's
but-
why I made the claim libertarian economists.
Right, but I'm not sitting here saying that we should have zero immigration. I'm just saying I'm refuting the fact that your claim is that we should have more immigration, more openly like people migrating into the country. Milton Friedman would have supported that. They wanted, okay, maybe back in their time it was fewer immigration and they were slightly okay with that. But in like today's day and age, the type of immigration we see now, 3 million people, 2 million people, that's ridiculous.
So do you think like the undocumented migrants even that entered into America in the last 4 years hurt the American economy?
I think they take away from American jobs. And if you're what is your
Yeah, okay.
why do you want
I think
migrants
that's
to come in?
ridiculous.
Is your only
no.
reason
You're not. Stop
That's
fucking
one thing.
pivoting. Q-say no, because you're pivoting. I asked you a question. I said, how do they hurt the economy? And then you say fucking 4 words, and then you try to ask a question back to me. That's insufferable and ridiculous. When I'm asking you a question, I would really appreciate for you to respond to it, and then for us to have a conversation about your response.
What was the
But when
question?
you just give me like a 4 fucking word response, and then you try to like pivot and ask me an entirely different question,
was the
it's
question? I don't
really
know.
annoying.
Relax.
And you've been doing it the entire fucking conversation. So once again, my conversation, my question was, can you name one way in which migrants in America have hurt the economy in the last 4 years?
And I said that they're taking away from certain American job opportunities.
Great. So when
But
you
how
say
is
that
that
they're
pivoting?
taking
Wait,
away
wait,
from
wait.
American,
Wait, hold on, hold on, hold on,
You
hold
want
on.
to say more? Go
How
ahead
is
and
that-
say more.
No, I'm just saying, how was that pivoting when I answered that? So could you answer that?
The
Because you're
answer
making claims
the
about me
answer
and
you
not
just repeated was not the pivot. It was the question that you asked. Say you then asked a follow-up question before I could get a word out in response. What's tough about you trying to understand this? I asked you
So
the
I
question.
answered
I
your
said, can you give me
question
one way that
honestly.
immigrants hurt the American economy? You then quickly answered the question, but then after answering the question, without a breath to spare, you then went into asking me your own question, which is pivoting. That's what a pivot is. Definitionally speaking, that is what a pivot is. Why are you rage baiting so hard, attempting to be the most insufferable version of yourself possible?
Okay. Dude, I think I've been super respectful, and I don't think I'm really pivoting at all. I answered the question. I made another statement. Like, you're kind of like overly exaggerating all this, man. Just relax.
Okay, so your response is just to relax. Well, my request for you is just to simply not
I made a
pivot.
simple statement. Okay. So do you think that
Kusei, I'm fucking done with this shit. You pivoted. Okay, it's fine. I just want you to not do that. That's all I'm asking you to do. I asked you the question, how do immigrants hurt the American economy? You then gave a 4-word answer, and then without sparing Carrying a breath, you then ask me your own question, moving away from the question I asked you. Definitionally speaking, that's a pivot. What's so tough? What's so tough about what I'm saying?
Okay, so do you want to answer?
You answered my question. You said
No,
the
I'm saying
way in
you-
which they hurt the economy.
Okay, I don't understand. What can you answer? What's your response to that?
You said the way in which they hurt the economy is by taking jobs from Americans in the labor force.
What are you looking at?
My YouTube stream? Why are you interrupting me?
But like, it seems like you're waiting for a response or an answer from your chat or something.
You are so fucking insufferable. You know what I'm gonna do just because of how insufferable you are?
Oh
Here's
my
a, here's a blanket. I'm gonna go ahead and put the blanket over the head and on the mic right now. So your response to my question was that they hurt the economy by taking jobs from Americans. In other words, what you're saying is that they hurt the economy by working in the economy, adding millions of individuals into the American labor force to further strengthen American manufacturing. And it's funny because one of your first points was to say how important American manufacturing was and how we need to elevate it to a higher precedent. But then also, apparently, we need to forcefully remove millions of individuals from it, which is hilarious. And then also, what happens when we have undocumented migrants in the American economy working jobs, they then what? They make money. And what happens when you make money? You pay taxes. And that's why undocumented migrants pay over $100 billion per year in taxes on the federal, state, and local level. And to take it one citizens do, because when you're a W-2 employee, when you work a job, guess what? You're putting money into Social Security in which you will benefit from when you retire. Guess what? You're putting money into healthcare services as offered by your employer. Guess what? You get W-2 job into the American economy and into the overall tax pool to a higher degree in a more efficient manner than you are, since they take less benefits away from that. And also, when you make money and you pay taxes, you're also contributing to overall GDP growth. And if undocumented migrants pay $100 billion per year in taxes, this means we can justifiably assume that they add over $300 billion per year just to the American GDP. So that's why you're wrong.
I'm saying, do they take away from opportunity for American opportunities?
No, they create more opportunities.
How?
How? I mean, what do you think happens when we have a strengthened labor force, growing GDP, more jobs are available to the job market?
By the way, can I mention like a one stat that like I think sums this up really good? Because when I hear people say that migrants are taking American jobs, do you know how many manufacturing jobs right now at this very moment are unfilled?
How many?
500,000. There are 500,000 manufacturing jobs at this very moment, right? At this very moment, that are not being filled by either migrants or native-born Americans, right? So no one is taking jobs. In fact, the
How do they not take jobs? I think they dude, it's so clear that they take jobs.
no,
It's so clear
no,
that they
it's
take
not.
jobs.
No,
They're-
they have the jobs. They have the jobs that Americans don't want to have, and that's proven by the fact that we can't fill any manufacturing jobs.
You see, I don't know. I think that's not. I don't think that's completely entirely true. I think
It is true.
when you have like an economy where there's not too much immigration, people that hire and have businesses will in fact find people to fill those positions if they pay them a little bit better.
No,
If
no,
you pay them
right now, the
you guys
National
want-
Association of Manufacturers, right now says that even with what they pay now, and even if they increased it, they're projecting by 2033 that 1.9 million manufacturing jobs will not be filled. People simply do not want to have these jobs. That's true of like everybody. And so you might think that they're being taken because migrants are a good scapegoat for you, but that's simply not true.
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that we shouldn't have any type of migration, and maybe those migrants can have those types of jobs, those low skilled labor jobs. And then maybe there could be economic growth by that. But my overall point is that I don't think at the scale at which we were getting those illegal immigrants was sustainable. That's what my overall point is. And I'm not sitting here saying that we should have no migrants coming into
there's just simply no macroeconomic indicators in which would lead you to that conclusion.
that we were getting a lot of migrants crossing.
You're saying that it's unsustainable for the American economy. All macroeconomic indicators were only benefited by the introduction of higher levels of immigration into the American economy. That's a fact, man.
I'm not.
Like even like the one point that you brought up insofar as how you think they hurt the economy, on top of it being proven abundantly false, okay, right? It also was not an argument from any macroeconomic indicators. It was an argument from fairness.
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I think I don't think having an influx of migrants is really all that good. I mean,
well, we're waiting for the justification. The justification would be you providing us the macroeconomic indicators in which we're hurt via immigration the last 4 years. I understand that like the things that I'm saying are contrary to a lot of what is discussed and pushed in like mainstream media. And in fact, like it's even contrary to the thoughts of a lot of people in the general Democrat Party. And this is like a further left position that I hold, and I can acknowledge that it is definitely a little bit radical, but it's backed by fact. I think we all need to ask ourselves, you know, what are the pros and cons of immigration into America? We don't really see any cons.
That's not true. Then why are people?
What are the cons? What are they? Tell me how undocumented migrants have hurt the American economy. Make it abundantly clear to me. Name the economic indicators in which have been hurt by undocumented migrants.
Do you think that there's some constraint on like overall governmental programs by migrants? Yes or no?
Undocumented migrants don't benefit from federal government programs. So no.
For migrants, yes, they actually fucking do,
Which ones?
dude. If a migrant goes into, let's just say, a hospital and gets some type of procedure done or some type of like checkup, they could do something called like charity care, where their income is checked to see if they have any type of income, their immigration status, all of that is checked, and they have certain.
You're right. Undocumented migrants do have access to the emergency room in all 50 states, and that is funded by a federal program called Medicare. Guess what?
What?
Last year, Medicare expends $16.5 billion for access to emergency resources for all uninsured people in which use them. Only a certain portion of those are going to be undocumented migrants, and they paid over $100 billion per year in taxes. So seemingly, for every dollar they put in, the government gets out 5. Now, if you want to reduce the amount of undocumented migrants that are reliant on free healthcare and emergency rooms because of a bill passed in 2015 for humanitarian aid, just give them a pathway to residency or citizenship so they could legally obtain healthcare like you or I. Boom. Actually, I'd like to further acknowledge that, yes, there is some constraints that undocumented migrants place on American systems, but the way that you resolve them is by giving them a pathway to residency or citizenship. Think about it. Constraints insofar as accessibility to healthcare, boom, fixed by residency or citizenship. Constraints insofar as garnering lower wages on average compared to U.S. citizens because they have less bargaining power in the marketplace because they're not residency or citizens, boom, fixed by giving them a pathway to residency or citizenship. What are the constraints and how can we solve them? Typically, the solution is always mass amnesty. In fact, I fail to see one of these problems that can only be solved by mass deportation. And in all of these scenarios, I actually find that mass deportation either worsens the problems or doesn't fix it at all.
So let's just talk about New York City. They have migrants coming in there. Let's just say Texas is dropping them off into New York City. They're stressed and they are complaining
Thank you for the socks.
about these, and they're complaining about the migrants and them being housed in like these hotels.
Yeah.
Why are they complaining?
Hey, Kusei, guess what? Those aren't undocumented migrants. Those are asylum seekers, legal migrants.
80% of asylum seekers have their cases like completely thrown out. They're lying. They're scripted. They're just saying that to get into the country.
Okay. Well,
First and foremost.
Oh,
no, it's actually not 80%. It's actually, I think it's 70% or like 65%.
I actually think it's 70 or 65% of asylum seekers end up getting their claims processed.
Yeah, that's what
They end up having valid claims.
No, that's not true. You could look that up.
I did when I was in Texas.
I actually looked that up like 2-3 days ago. Like it's like 35% of cases are actually processed through the courts, and that everything else is like thrown out because it's all lies, it's bullcrap.
Oh yeah, it looks like 50% of them.
Or like, yeah, no, I remember it being
actually,
like 65.
so it's actually
How
57.
am I lying? I'm not.
Um,
How am I racist? I'm like Palestinian. I mean,
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing that pops up is just over half of asylum claims are granted protection. That's coming from Refugee Council.
okay.
Now,
okay,
I'd also like to
but
clarify here.
you see rats, you see-
Kuse. One of the big reasons why these claims can be denied is because of incredibly strict laws surrounding immigration. But I'll even take it one step further. Just because their claim may be denied in the future doesn't make them an undocumented migrant now. They still have legal protections while their claim is being processed. And if you would like to reduce the amount of individuals in America on an asylum claim that don't have a legitimate claim to asylum, the solution to that is to reduce the amount of time that it takes to process the asylum claim. And guess what? Biden and Harris tried to do that with a bipartisan border bill that would have literally hired more judges for more courts to process more asylum claims in a more efficient manner, and Trump stopped them. So seemingly it's like the way to solve the issue is something that Trump has actively fought against.
You see, I disagree with the solution to that. I mean, I don't know. I don't see like making it easier
Oh,
for
God.
courts and judges to like process like what?
How can you disagree with that?
I don't know. I think you kind of want to go a little bit slowly and like look into the overall picture of like what these like immigrants are talking about with their cases. Is it that stuff takes time?
Dude, wait, I'm so sorry. The point of
Well,
hiring more
majority-
judges is so you could process a higher amount at one time. So overall,
I
processing the claims takes a lower amount of time as the queues are shorter, and there's more individuals being processed at any given point. How could you possibly disagree with that?
No, I get that. I get that. I mean, maybe that was a bad point. I don't know. I don't think. I don't think. I think there's something to be said about these migrants that are claiming asylum, and a lot of them being bullcrap.
Huh.
That for a
I
A
mean,
course
most
of
people
4
coming.
hours.
What are you, dude? The solution's very obvious. You make the process as efficient as possible so we could quickly identify the individuals that don't have a legitimate claim to asylum. I support
Okay,
that.
so and it's a lot of them, dude. It's like literally a lot of
That's
them.
why you make it as efficient as possible. You understand that the issue you're pointing out is accounted for.
Can we
by
look into
solution.
what percentage of overall migrants come and are claiming asylum?
Very low,
What percentage of the overall batch?
like sub 10,
10%?
under.
Less than 10%? And you would support removing them?
No, no, that's like probably like the last demographic of immigrants I'd support removing from America.
After like realizing that they aren't actually claiming asylum and they're lying?
Okay, they don't have a valid claim to asylum.
Yeah, and so you would support removing them.
Well, I mean, I think that they should first be offered a pathway to residency or citizenship, and if they deny that, then sure.
So they could technically cut the line and then lie, get caught, and then be given a pathway to
Well,
citizenship?
I don't think it'd be cutting a line. I think everyone should have that same
Wow,
option.
people that go through the port of entry, that's technically a line. And then there's other people that literally cross the border
See, once again,
through the
under my
river.
view, I think that all immigrants, undocumented or documented, should have the same expedited
Hold on, let
pathway
me
to
make my
residency
point.
or citizenship. I really like how like this has been almost an interview. Like you won't even have a conversation with us about your views. You just want to ask me about mine. I mean, I like it, but it's like kind of annoying.
I mean, I've given my views. I've told you that. I
Yeah,
don't
like
think
once
there
again,
should-
I've disputed your views. You can't name
Overflux
you
of-
can't name one way in which immigrants hurt, in which undocumented migrants have hurt the American economy. Like your response was to literally pivot and talk about documented migrants.
No, I
Yeah,
said
yeah,
that
you said that they're
they.
straining the economy in places like New York by like getting hotels and whatnot.
Okay,
Like
so I
those are
did answer
asylum
it.
seekers, in which are no, because those are
So
asylum
I
seekers,
did
which are
answer.
no, you didn't. Those are asylum seekers, which are documented migrants. My question was, name one way in which undocumented migrants hurt the American economy.
My point was about migrants,
And my question was about undocumented migrants.
but we're talking about migrants because
No,
just
no,
because
no.
they're
We're talking
just
about what
because
I
they're
asked you, Mike. We're literally talking about what I asked you. I specifically asked you about undocumented migrants. What makes you think you have the right to change my question? Come on. Oh man, I forgot how these streams ramp up my cortisol levels. My cortisol
Very true,
levels
very true.
chat. My cortisol levels chat. Yo, Connor! Thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. I'm sorry, I'm 55 minutes late. I've been really paying attention to this debate. Connor says the prodigal son returns. Connor, dude, it's good to see you. I appreciate you for the love. As well as Pam with the $10 saying thank you for educating so many. Pam, I do appreciate you for the love. Everyone, please show some love to Connor and Pam. As well as Christine with a $20 donation over on Venmo. Thank you for the love, Christine. He left, by the way. Christine with the $20. Christine says you're awesome. Keep it up. Thank you for the love, Christine. Everyone shows some love to Christine. Oh, thank you so much for the $20 saying holy shit when the blanket was over your head. That was the funniest shit I've ever fucking seen. Thank you for the love, oh, as well as NIK. Thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you so much. Rachel with a 2 and then Jessica with a 10. You guys are so incredibly kind. And oh my gosh, I'd also like to thank Sid for the $100 donation over on Venmo. Everybody, let's see 1,000 Sid W's down below in the chat right now for the $100 donation. Thank you, Sid. Sid says, hi, Dean. Hope you're feeling more rested. I am. I didn't get too much sleep last night, though. Everyone, please show some love to Sid. What's up, Christopher?
You ever heard of dead eyes?
Dead
I
eyes?
feel like there's
Me?
nothing behind your eyes.
Tracy, thank you for the galaxy.
It's just emptiness.
I mean, maybe I do feel
There's nothing in there. There's no soul.
Maybe I do feel a little bit soulless and dead when I talk to Trump supporters.
No,
all
I
day.
just
You might be onto something,
I
Christopher.
think you might be an NPC. Every time I see you, it's just like I'm looking at a game, at a character in a game.
I mean,
not like I'm looking at a person.
People don't tell me that I use ChatGPT in my debates for nothing.
I mean, I think you might just be a product of ChatGPT. You're not a real human soul person, are you?
Well, I appreciate you for complimenting me by telling me that I'm a product of the most sophisticated and intelligent AI model in current existence. That's very kind of you, Christopher. Do you support the Trump administration?
Yeah, but I'm kind of more concerned about you and Cybernet trying to take over.
Don't worry, I have reprogrammed Dean to not do anything bad, so just don't worry.
I mean, I don't think you could hurt a vegan, and that should be pretty easy, but, like, those eyes just make me a little bit, they make me feel crazy.
Well, my eyes are particularly red today because of allergies.
No, it's not the color. It's the fact that when you look most people in the eyes, you kind of see something behind them.
Are you just lost in my eyes?
No, I'm lost in the fact that there's nothing behind your eyes.
So you are lost in my eyes. So you are lost in my eyes.
I'm lost in the emptiness, sure. It's like looking into the abyss and
Charlie,
nothing looks
thank you
back
so much for the motorcycle. I appreciate that. Yo, this is kind of cringe, bro. Just tell us why you support the Trump administration. Come on.
Well, I mean, because I'm pretty sure you're a robot and you're working for the machine and you are a machine. It just seems like maybe like you have a directive in your programming. Must destroy all common sense, must make men women. Toodaloo.
You're fucking get off my stream. Get off my what the fuck is that guy talking about? What oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Just get off my stream, bro. So cringe. Oh my god. Oh my god. And by the way, I'm laughing out of just like embarrassment for him. I'm laughing out of uncomfortability just Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. These Trump supporters are bored, man. They're so bored, bro. Minnie, thank you for the $50 $50 super chat on YouTube. Thank you for the $50, Minnie. Minnie says, "Well, missed you, Dean. Welcome back." Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the stream. I don't know if I'm really back. I just, I had some time I wanted to hop on, but I may end up taking it a little bit lighter for a little while longer. But thank you for the love, Minnie. Everybody, please show some love to Minnie down below in the chat. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much. And if you're watching and you want to support me, you're watching on TikTok, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. Quite frankly, that's where it lives, as well as in the pinned message over on the YouTube stream. That's the truth. That is the truth. Okay. All right. What is going on? Aaron, do you support the Trump administration?
Oh, I actually didn't expect to get in. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. I'd say I'm more of a sense fitter on this. Fence sitter. Sense fitter. I'm more of a fence sitter on this topic. Sorry for.
You're good, Aaron.
You're good. You're good. What's up?
I never supported either one, and I didn't even vote.
Okay. Aaron, I think the best place for you to be is in the comment section, hearing me out.
Yeah.
Matt, how you doing today?
I am okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've enjoyed being like a real human for the last couple days. I think
Dean was being a real boy.
Yeah, I think I want to kind of immerse myself a little bit more in that a bit. Like I just miss doing like normal people things. I really have, and it's been nice, and it's been nice, especially like towards like the end of yesterday. Like I don't know, I feel like I don't have a lot of privacy anymore, because I spend like half of my day in a very like public avenue through my live stream, and it was just like kind of nice just knowing that like for the last couple days it's just been like me and my girlfriend and my family in a sense. I don't know.
Nice.
It's a hard experience to describe. But Jamie, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. Thank you, Jamie. Everybody, please show some love to Jamie. Let's get 200 Jamie W's for the continuation of the tic-tac-toe lessons. You're cooking me, Jamie. I'm cooked. Also, big fan. Keep up the good fight. I appreciate you for the love, Jamie. What's going on, Scott? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, wholeheartedly.
Oh yes, no! Would you consider yourself a patriot?
Well, I'm more of a. I want the American dollar to be the benchmark for everything in the world. I don't want it to stay.
Well, that's failing.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not going too well.
No. Reducing deficit spending is a key, and
that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
What do you mean that's not happening? What do you mean that's
Trump
not happening?
Just proposed. Trump just proposed his new budget. He fucking which costs money. Like, where do you think they're going to get that from?
No,
by taking people's healthcare away.
It doesn't cost money. That's just money that the government's not going to be receiving for their.
That's what I meant by not costing money.
I want to be
government.
I want to be very clear. I want to be
very
very clear with this. Okay.
Let's not yell.
So, the argument of tax cuts costing money versus the government forgoing additional income by cutting taxes is purely a debate of rhetoric, because at the end of the day, tax cuts lead to the same material outcome as any other avenue of government spending. They do. They absolutely do. And guess what? The U.S. Treasury, estimates, right, the foregone opportunity cost of revenue that is cut via tax cuts as spending. Quite frankly, Scott.
I don't even think that anybody is maintaining that the GOP budget proposal is going to lower the debt or anything. Like, that's one of the reasons why so many of the hardline GOPers want it to go farther is because it doesn't reduce it.
Yeah, and not to mention he spent twice as much as Biden and Harris did in his first term, as well as his proposed policy compared to Harris's is 5 times more expensive. So if you care about reducing the deficit and keeping inflation low, should have voted for Kamala Harris. She's better for both.
You're totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Quite frankly, no, I'm not. That's what the CBO reports. What's your source, bud?
Well, the good news is after 30 days, we won't have to worry about listening to you guys pontificate about things like this, because your guys' platform will be gone. So enjoy your time. You'll have plenty of time off with your girlfriend in another 30 days.
Wait, hold on. Why is the platform going away?
TikTok. Well, it just won't be in America.
Well,
so,
why?
I guess if you're Canadians.
Daddy Trump said that he's going to go forever.
It's being sued in almost every single state to
I just want
be removed.
I just want to clarify that Your response to the facts that I shared that you spent twice
Well,
as much.
no,
as,
I just know
one
that-
second. What's that, Scott? Scott, give me a break. Give me a break, man. Let me
I'll
speak.
give you a break, Dean.
So your response to me pointing out that he spent twice as much as Biden and Harris in his first term, and his policy for his second term cost 5 times as much as Harris's, and this is sourcing the CRFB as well as the CBO. Your response is to say, well, the good news is that in 30 days you won't have a platform to live stream on. Really?
Well, you know what? Because this is a mouthpiece for China. Anything that is bad for Trump is good for China.
Okay, just ignore TikTok. Focus on the substance of the conversation. We'll be
Okay,
fine
the
with
substance.
TikTok.
Okay. Well, I'm all for tax cuts, no matter what, and I'm not a $500,000 a year person.
Oh,
But-
should have voted for Harris. She would have cut your taxes more. In fact, Donald
No,
Trump is
no,
effectively
wait.
increasing them.
I've never seen any taxes get cut when a Democrat's in office, and I know that when
She ran on
you
proposed
draw-
tax cuts. Wait.
and
She
not
ran
only
on
that, but
she ran on proposed tax cuts. She had offered tax cuts for 100 million American workers
you
in the low
knew
and
it
middle
wasn't
class.
coming.
Why would it not
Taxing
come?
the rich is no taxing the rich is not.
Scott, with what reason would you have to believe that her tax cuts would never pass? Because at the end of the day, guess what? They're less expensive than Trump's.
Because-
Trump's are passing right now. Come on.
Here's the difference, though, is you have to cut government spending at the same time of giving tax cuts.
Unless
you cannot have both.
Actually, yes, you can. Like typically, what we see you do is cut government spending to fund the tax cuts. But Kamala Harris actually ran on a self-sufficient budget, where she wanted just to raise the money that the tax cuts for the 100 million American workers in the low and middle class would cost.
Yeah,
by
but
doing
when you
things such
say-
as increasing the corporate tax rate, or cutting government spending through granting Medicare greater renegotiated ability with private pharmaceutical companies, which would have saved our government $500 billion per year.
Okay, now increasing corporate tax rates is the absolute last way to raise money. That's not increasing anything. That doesn't create wealth. Actual
Treasury
wealth.
disagrees.
Almost
The Treasury
everybody-
estimated, no, false. The Treasury estimated that a 7% increase in the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28% would have generated our government an additional $1.2 trillion in the next 10 years.
Yeah, the corporate tax rate sucks already.
Okay,
It's
well, now
already
you're shifting the argument because you
burdensome.
just told me that increasing the corporate tax rate would not increase government revenue.
Well,
The
but it
Treasury
doesn't
disagrees.
create wealth. That doesn't create wealth. You're taking money from the people that generate something. Whether or not I have a corporate business that provides HVAC services or a plumbing service or whatever, we create something. We have a skill. That's where the money.
What the fuck
is
are you saying,
generated.
Scott?
From Americans and their ingenuity, their ability to provide a service to whoever for something. But when you start taking 20% of that and then say, well, you know what, we can take another 20% of it.
What
and
the
then
hell is Scott saying?
what am I saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying that you always try to demonize corporations.
What?
People on the left.
Okay, listen.
People on the left.
Listen. My perspective is very simple. My
It's not an endless
perspective
meeting.
is that I think it's totally fine to increase taxes on corporations or the wealthy, insofar as you're doing it for a good reason. Okay.
Well,
I think that funding tax cuts for 100 million American workers, when we're at levels of income inequality equivalent to that in France right before the French Revolution, is a damn good reason.
I could not disagree with you more. That's why I support Trump and you don't, though. So, I mean, I guess maybe there's,
So you
and I-
support. But I just want to make it clear, like Donald Trump is effectively increasing taxes on every American making under $395,000 per year, which includes yourself and
Yeah,
likely
that's the
everyone
whole
you
thing.
know. So why do you choose to be a bootlicker? Why do you choose to say all hail the corporations, all hail the billionaires? Let's make their lives easier.
No,
And I'm completely
because
fine with making my life worse, and I'm completely fine with making the life of every other American making under $395,000 per year. The 97%, you're completely fine with making their life worse.
I don't buy into any of the demonization of billionaires and the rich. I don't.
I'm not
Because
demonizing
eventually
anybody.
that trickles down to us.
I'm not demonizing absolutely fucking anyone when I say that I'm completely fine with increasing taxes on the ultra wealthy, insofar as you're doing it for good enough reasons, such as reducing the income inequality in this country and making life easier for like 100 million American citizens. I don't think that there's anything in that statement which is inherently demonizing the ultra wealthy. And then you said that it trickles down to us. That's a big fat lie. Did you know after
No,
Donald
that's
Trump?
100%.
No, it's not. That's a big fat lie. After
No,
Donald
you're
Trump,
right. You're
that's
wrong.
a big fat
You're
lie,
wrong.
Scott.
No,
I have
it's
evidence.
not.
I have evidence. That's That's a big fat lie. After,
I don't
and
know.
I have evidence. I have evidence. Let me give you my damn evidence, Scott. After Donald Trump passed the first rounds of his tax cuts in 2018, okay, that cost $1.9 trillion, with 80% of those cuts going to the top 1% of earners in this country and ultra and very large corporations. Guess what we saw? Guess what the fuck we saw? We saw no macro level increase in business investment in this country, meaning that none of the additional profits collected by the ultra wealthy and corporations went back into their businesses. My source is Brookings.
Okay. What I do know is that every time the left, and when I say socially left and the let's say closest to socialist and communist, and that's where you're at. You're from taking from producers and giving it to if it's for a good enough reason, if there's a good cause for it, then you're allowed to take from those that produce and give it to those that don't. That's right.
No, I'm just a realist. At the end of the day, okay,
no, you're a communist.
What's a communist?
A communist is somebody that allows to distribute all the wealth amongst those who have and give it to those that have not,
So
that
it's
can't
not true.
provide for themselves.
Marx,
What is it? Marx, huh?
Wealth doesn't even exist under communism. Communism, in a very simplistic manner,
I knew it.
Is very simple.
It doesn't work.
Is a stateless, classless, moneyless society. So when you imply that I'm for some distribution of wealth or money, you're inherently implying a system that's antithetical to that of communism, since under communism there wouldn't exist money.
And that's why I'll be happy when your platform is removed, because you're nothing more than a mouthpiece for the Chinese government and the communists.
I give you a simplistic definition of communism in accordance with academia, and you get pissed. This
No,
is
I'm
a
not
new
pissed.
age of anti-intellectualism in
I'm
America.
not pissed. I believe in a capitalistic system. I do. I believe.
Scott, you understand that I'm also a capitalist, right?
Well, no, you're on a capitalist platform. You're making money like a capitalist.
Scott, I am a capitalist.
Well, yeah, I don't doubt that. You make money like one.
I think that the best possible function of an economy is that of a social democracy, which would include the availability to have privatized ownership of means of production. I support like a certain form of capitalism. I don't understand why you're
Off the tracks, runaway capitalism. Yeah, I get that.
Wait. What do you think capitalism is?
What's that?
What do you think capitalism is?
Capitalism is free markets. I mean, maybe just being able to.
No. So capitalism is just where you could like privately own the means of production. But if you if you think that like capitalism is like a free market, would you say that Donald Trump is opposed to capitalism since he opposes free markets with his foreign policy of the implementation of tariffs?
Well, no. I think the tariffs are a great idea because that is exactly what we need to do.
We got a communist on the line.
Hey, we have
you support the CCP.
We have no. Tariffs are meant to be.
You support the CCP. We got a communist socialist on the live because you support something that infringes upon the free market. Tariffs are a restriction on the free market, sir.
Well, no,
we got a communist.
Well, it's because these are meant to be punishing communist regimes that aren't playing by the same rule. These tariffs are not meant to raise money. And I know he said that they were going to raise money.
Wait, so you're punishing communism with communism?
Yes, exactly what you're doing. You're fighting it. That's exactly what you're doing.
So you admit that Donald Trump has communist policy?
No, I just think that tariffs.
Comrade Scott, please.
Tariffs are meant. These set of tariffs are a war. We're at a war footing with China, and I don't think you understand that. That they have been at war with us for the last 10 years, and if we're going to win this war, first you got to break them economically, and that's what we're doing. You have to break China as an economic.
Okay, I'm so sorry for interrupting you. I just have a huge fucking dude. This is crazy.
Sid
with the $200 super chat on YouTube. Oh my God! Thank you so much for the love, Sid. If oh my God, can everybody please show some love to Sid down below in the chat for the $200 donation? That's nuts. That is so incredibly insane, Sid. Thank you so much for your kindness. I want to see 2,000 Sid W's down below in the chat, literally right fucking now. That is so incredibly kind of you. Huge, huge, huge shout out, Sid, right now. Sid says, because you're cooking, and I also wanted to say hi to the chat, dude. That is so incredibly kind of you. If everybody could please show some love to Sid down below in the chat, literally right now. Everyone, you know, she said that she wanted to say hi to you. So say hi to her. Everybody say, W said, hi, Sid. Tell her what's up. And yeah, WU. That is so, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that at all. That is seriously so incredibly kind of you, Sid. Wow. Everybody seriously spam W Sid in the comment section for the next 10 minutes. That is unreal. But take it away, Comrade Scott.
I like that, Comrade Scott. No, I'm definitely not a communist. That's for sure.
You admitted it. You admitted it. You admitted.
No, I admitted that the use of tariffs as a tool, weapon of war, is probably more accurate. That's what we're using these tariffs as.
But like you
we're
admitted
about 145% tariffs.
Scott, you admitted that was communist policy.
I'm saying that you're fighting a communist policy with communist policy. What do you think their tariffs are?
So then, Scott,
what are they charging us? How much do we export?
Let's not get there yet. So this just means that you support communist policy, right?
No, I'd say that you use what you can when it's usable.
Just like under certain conditions, you support communist policy.
Well, communism is a system. It's not just, it's not just. Yeah, I've read Marx. I know Marx. I know but I know it's also in a perfect world.
Thank you for the media show. I appreciate you for the love. You read Marx, really?
You can eliminate humans from it.
Oh, so you're telling me that you've read some of Marx?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me name one of his late stage capitalist predictions.
Oh, come on! Now you're just proving me to be stupid because I'm not very good at pulling stuff out of my ass like that. Name something.
I haven't read Marx. I know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
I'm not the one that claimed to have read Marx. That was you.
I have. I've listened to it on Audible. So I mean, hey,
okay.
That counts. But anyways, as far as we're talking about a footing of us being on top of the world, as far as the dollar being number one, America being the number one producer, our products being the best in the world. That's what we're trying to get back to where being made in America.
I kicked them.
That's funny.
Oh man. Hey man, listen, I'm probably gonna be on here for another 20 minutes. You want to hang out, Matt?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. I'm probably gonna be on here for another 20 minutes, y'all. I am gonna be getting off a little bit early today. We've only been on for around 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'll do 3 hours today, but then I'm gonna hop off. I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah, we're gonna go to get that next guest up in here right now. Everyone, go ahead and drop a Maga down below in that comment section if you would like to come up and have a conversation with me. Let me know if you'd like to be the last Trump supporter of the evening. Quite frankly, that's the truth. Oh man, my stomach hurts. I'm a mess. Small cheeks. Thank you for the shallow energy. That's very kind of you. I'm a mess. What's up? Do you support Trump? Callan, hello? I'm pretty sure that's a child. Goodbye, child. Goodbye, child. Moving on to the next guest, everyone. It's going to get Christina up in that live. What's going on,
Hi,
Christina?
Hello?
Do you support Trump?
No, I love you.
WU, Christina. That's awesome that you don't support Trump. Boom. Wa-bam. Wa-bang. Boom. What's up, Maddie?
It's been a minute.
We've spoken before?
Yes, a moment.
Sorry, Maddie. Moving on to Tate 2 Shiesty. Here we go, everyone. They're loading up. Loaded up, quite frankly. That's the truth. Hello, Tate. Tate 2 Shiesty is gone. They left. The Trump supporters are terrified. They're so scared. That's the truth. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God. Bro. Kate and Laura. Kate, thank you so much for the $125 donation on PayPal. And that's also from Netflix, the Remarinaire. I'm definitely butchering that. And Kate. So thank you, Netflix and Kate, for the $125 donation on PayPal. Oh my God. Everybody, please show some love to Netflix and Kate down below in that chat right now. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much, Netflix and Kate. Everyone, huge shout out to Netflix and Kate down below right now. I want to see at least 2,000 Netflix and Kate W's. That is so
And
incredibly kind of you
also,
guys.
thank you to Adam for the $100 on Venmo.
Let's
Thank you so
go.
much, Adam. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. So W Adam in the chat too.
W Netflix, WK, and W Adam, and then just one more, Laura, with the $75 on PayPal, saying glad you took time for your for self-care. You're killing it tonight. Thank you so much for the love, Laura. I really appreciate you for the incredible level of kindness. I mean, seriously, Netflix, Kate, Laura, Adam, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it at all, you guys. And I really do appreciate you guys for your kindness and your generosity. And that is incredibly kind of you. As well as Briar with a $50 super chat over on YouTube to spoil the GF while you're on break. Take care of yourself. I'm gonna have to take her out to dinner. Thank you for the love, Briar. Everybody show some love to Briar down below in the comment section. Show some love to Briar down below literally right now. That is BRIAR. Guys, thank you for the love. You guys are so kind. Welcome in, Sophie. Do you support Trump?
I just gotta say, I in no way support Trump nor the administration, but I just wanted to come in at the end of your show and say, like, oh my God, I really, really genuinely appreciate your intelligence, your eloquence of speech, just the way that you debate these people and you change minds. It is, occasionally when you change minds, but holy crap, you are a light. I hope you keep shining, and thank you so much for letting me be on here.
That's incredibly kind of you. I really appreciate you for your kindness, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
Shout out to Sophia. That's very kind. Thank you. All right, we're going to try to get that last guest up here. Also, Sid with the $25 on Venmo. Shout out, Sid. Sid says, quote unquote, I don't deserve it, brother. You just took off 20 minutes of my life. Thanks, bro. Sid, okay, Sid, I'm sorry, Sid. Thank you for the $25. Everyone, share some love to Sid. As well as Monta, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal for the Uncrustables fund. And Serena for the $30 on PayPal saying, love you. Only lives I watch. You're brilliant and give me hope. Serena, thank you. That's so kind of you. Shout out Sid, Serena, and Monta. Guys, thank you so much. What's going on, Braden? How old are you? That's a good. Okay, bye. Goodbye, fetus. Quite frankly, goodbye. Okay. All right. Man, it's a little bit hard to get a Trump supporter up in here. Not going to lie.
Hi there.
Hey, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
Absolutely not. Can I tell you a little bit about myself? And also, I just want to start by saying I have watched you and your debate style, and I absolutely love it. I was a debater when I was younger. I'm 40, so I'm an old lady. But your debate style is chef's kiss. I love it because you stand on your premise and your words are firm and you stand 10 toes down, and I love that about you. So I'm really glad to be on the panel, but I do have some things to say about immigration, and I do have some things to say about maybe the downfall of Trump, which might be good because we all hate his ass. Number one, my last name, if you see it's my full name, it's Crystal Boulanger. So in France, we dealt with tyranny and we left and we went to Nova Scotia. The British came and we dealt with tyranny. So we came to the Port of Orleans in Louisiana. And then we dealt with tyranny here with slavery. So we know of all people what tyranny looks like. We are called Cajuns, and we are a minority that is protected by the federal government. So we saw this coming. We saw this coming and tried to warn people. And people didn't listen because we're in a red state. So one thing that I will say is that a lot of people here are Catholic. Okay? And there are 54 million Catholics in the United States. Where Trump has really, really messed up, and I don't think he understands how much he's messed up, is remember how recently he made the joke about wanting to be the Pope and did that AI photo and whatnot?
Right.
Well, that really ticked off every Catholic in the world. There are cardinals all over the world that are talking about him. Pope Francis, before he died last week, sent a letter to every single bishop in the United States of America to not follow Trump and to go against him because he was not a man of God. Because of this,
Well, thank you for the
there are so many Catholics all over the world that I think we can impeach him at some point or get him out of office at some point just on the premise of how many Catholics are here.
Well, hey, I really appreciate your thoughts, and thank you so much for joining the live, Crystal.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and good luck with all your debates.
You well, I was about to say you as well. I guess you did say that you do enjoy debating as well, so I mean it. You as well.
You as well.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, guys, we only have around another 12 minutes before I got to get off for the night. Hopefully looking for one last debate, quite frankly. Hello, J.E. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do support Trump.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 17. I don't know if I'm allowed.
Well, unfortunately, you do have to be at least 18 to be on the live. That's TikTok TOS. So we're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone, just kind of give us a minute to get that next guest loaded up. Phenomenal. Jacob, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. Now, I got to read Jacob's message. Wow. No way, Jacob. Shout out to Jacob in the chat for the $20 donation. But, like, Jacob says here, considered myself apolitical until today. Found your channel, and I've been watching your videos all day. Dude. Jacob, you don't know. You don't know how big of a smile that puts on my face. That is glorious. That is glorious to hear. Dude, let's go. Let's go. Converting people to progressivism. One person at a time. Deidre, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal as well. Thank you so much for the love, D. Everyone, show some love to D. That is D-E-E. Deidre says, I absolutely love you. I love you too, D. That's incredibly kind of you. As well as Simon with the $10 saying, thank you for de-radicalizing me. Now I just got to radicalize you in a different direction. I'm gonna shove more left-leaning propaganda down your throat. Let's go. I'm just kidding. What's up, Grayson? How old are you?
What's up?
How old are you?
26.
26. Do you support Trump?
I do support Trump.
Oh, Grayson, why?
I don't know. I think he has some pretty good policies historically. I think that, obviously in regards to immigration, he's more strong and strict with that. And also, I think you're a coward, too.
Oh, you think I'm a coward?
What do you think?
I'm asking you why you think I'm a coward.
Yeah, he asked you because he doesn't know.
Yeah, you obviously fucking cut people off because you're a little fucking coward and you can't stand up for people, so that everyone's inherent racism, there's microaggressions, and you literally, the person that put together the entire thing for you, you basically fucking backstabbed them because you're too much of a pussy and you can't handle actually fucking standing up for anybody. Yeah.
Okay, Grayson. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to point out that it wasn't just merely the fact that Z had used microaggressions against black women, and which led to basically everything exploding. But it's also the fact that she didn't think she did anything wrong, was unable to hold herself accountable. And then, at least in my mind, if you let me finish here, like the same motivations in which led to the microaggressions of just kind of projecting your own downfalls on others and being an asshole is the same way that she treated me and a lot of other people on the tour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that there's like a broader conversation with more nuance than you're likely to understand or to acknowledge. And then on top of that, like, I bet like you just kind of like downplay the validity and or like harm that can be perpetuated via microaggressions.
What's a microaggression, Dean?
The way that I understand a microaggression is basically a way to perpetuate racism.
How would I tell you? How would I tell you instead of you telling me your understanding? Because you're probably wrong. It's unintentional discrimination. It's unintentional discrimination.
I muted you right there because you cut it, because you asked me a question, and then when I started answering it, you just cut me off.
Let's hear your understanding, please.
Yeah, basically, like, the way that I understand microaggressions, like, I feel like this is a pretty good way to understand them, is basically just a way to perpetuate racism that requires a little bit more, like, conscious, nuanced thought.
No, subconscious bias, wouldn't you say?
No, I just told you what I understand a microaggression to be. Just like a way in which racism is perpetuated that isn't, like, blatantly obvious, but rather requires more conscious thought.
Gotcha. Okay, so the individual entering into that space, okay, and by standing up for themselves because they were calling her a flat-lipped, no-ass having, ugly-ass woman, when she stands up and says they're bullies, that's a microaggression. Yes or no?
Grayson, I'd have to like re-listen to like the clip. I haven't listened to it for like a week now. But like I'm just like reiterating like my thoughts from when I heard it. I was like, it's very evidently clear that there's microaggressions present. As well as like I've kind of like further expanded upon like other reasons as well. Like it was the microaggressions, yes, but it was also like the lack of ability to hold herself accountable. Then on top of that, she treated like other people the same way she treated them. Like just an absolute inability to recognize or understand anything that she's done wrong, and then it automatically becomes everyone else's fault and everyone else is the issue. And then if anybody wants to critique her at all, they're doing so with ulterior motives. And yeah, man, I mean, you're calling me a coward, but like in all
You are
reality,
you're absolutely a coward, absolutely. But last question for you.
Okay, why am I a coward?
Reducing an individual
No, Grayson, why am I a coward?
Because you and I both know that when you listen to that live and you listen thoroughly through, I'm sure you did because you seem like a very you look at things in detail. When you watch that, the first thought you thought to yourself is, what did this person actually do? And then you had to rewatch it again, and you had to be educated by other people onto what it is you need to be thinking. And we both know that's what happened. Okay. But you can't fucking say that.
Here's my question. How do you know that's what happened?
Because I know that you knew of this occurrence already, and you still went to the actual tour, and then you said it was because people bought plane tickets.
So, I mean, I gave multiple reasons insofar as why I still decided to go on to the tour, while also recognizing like my own downfalls. In fact, I spoke about that for over 3 days. But what you're saying is that all of my reasons were false, and I instead decided to still go on the tour because I didn't recognize the harm in which had occurred. How do you know that? Because what this sounds like to me is just, you know, like a pretty baseless assumption that you're making to like further like perpetuate or uphold some image in our narrative.
Yeah, sure. Because
Dean Withers is.
Yeah, because me and you can both agree that we want to denounce all racism. But can you honestly tell us all right here that when you first
How can you say that you want to denounce racism when you support a president that called out black people lazy and perpetuated the birther myth about Barack Obama, saying that he was born in Kenya?
Hold on, before we pivot to that, I just want to say
it's not a pivot. It's just like genuinely like a valid inference that I'm making. Like listen, man, I really don't expect like a lot of like people on the right and Trump supporters to like recognize like the harm caused via the perpetuation of microaggression when like you support somebody that so obviously hates people because of their race and you don't really care at all. Like perpetuating the birther movement about Barack Obama, calling all black people lazy, saying that he only likes it when like short Jewish men and yarmulkes count as money, or saying that you can racially profile migrants. Like you know, it's like I don't expect you to understand those things. But I am like open and willing to like have like a good faith dialogue with you about it. But when you're unable to have that good faith dialogue, and then you just kind of turn around and say, "Oh, Dean, you're a coward," I mean, it's just kind of embarrassing for you.
Yeah, historically, you kick anybody that says they're a liberal, correct? And they didn't vote for Trump. So I said I voted for Trump to continue my conversation and tell you what I really wanted to say. I didn't vote for Trump. I just think you're a coward.
Did you vote for Kamala Harris?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so this is like infighting on the left.
Yeah, I'm just basically saying that I think it's kind of fucked up, man. But listen, also, Dean, I do understand that you have a following.
Grayson, listen, I'll reiterate this to like one more time, okay? Like, it wasn't just the fact that Z had used microaggressions against those women. Like, that was obviously like the predominant reason. But it was then the fact that when she was unable to recognize she did anything wrong, didn't hold herself accountable, and then went on to treat other people the same way she treated them. It was like overwhelmingly just like she wasn't good at her job, man. And that's on top of the fact that she had used microaggressions against a black woman in that space. Like, I really think like really confused why there's like anyone left that's like, oh, Dean is such a coward. You know what I mean?
Okay, you're okay with obviously not being okay with the organizational aspect of it. That's perfectly fine. You can say that. The part that I find kind of like crazy is that I don't think it's okay for other people to reduce someone down to stereotypes, and then when they defend themselves, they're called a racist. That doesn't make sense to me. Calling her a flat lip, no ass having, I think it was a flat face white bitch, you shouldn't call somebody that. And if you do, if they call you a bully for that, that isn't a microaggression. And I just need you to explain to me how that is.
I think that two things could be true at once. First of all, you're framing as if the microaggressions that she used against the black woman in the space were specifically in response and of defense of like them calling her like a flat-lipped bitch or whatever. So I just think that claim is like empirically false. But then B, right, even if like she's being absolutely treated like shit and they're saying mean things to her, I also don't think that makes it acceptable for her to use microaggressions against them. But like honestly, like what I saw when I watched it back was like sure, tensions were high, and there was like being fuel added to the fire, but then she comes out of like left field and starts saying like incredibly like crazy fucking rude insane shit to them. And even like my first time watching, I was like, dude, like what the hell?
You this one?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that like she had used the phrase like "you people" at one point in the conversation. Additionally, there was like a point where she had talked about how none of them know what it's like to organize whatsoever under any circumstances, and I think like the use of microaggressions is wrong. Okay, right? I think that, you know, maybe if she were to have reflected upon that and been like, yeah, damn, dude, I did something really bad, and like I recognize the harm in it, and she genuinely tried to hold herself accountable, had a private conversation with him, apologized for her behavior, that I think maybe shit could have turned out differently. But like what happened following that live was her then acting like she did nothing wrong, trying to manipulate the people on board with the project. And then ultimately when shit blew up in her face, she treated everyone else, including myself, the same way she treated the people on that panel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Projecting things that she had done wrong onto other people, making it seem like it's their fault.
Okay. I hear you. Last question, and then I'll let you go, so you're getting done. Are you ever scared of your reputation being ruined?
Am I scared of my reputation being
Yeah.
ruined?
Do you ever like worry at night sometimes that maybe someone's going to cancel you, call you out, or do you have a fear of this? Does this bother you?
Yeah,
Is that something?
thank you for the level up. Well, I mean, I think I've kind of spoken about this a little bit. So I mean, like I do have like high levels of anxiety.
Okay.
And I think that like anxiety can like lead to like those feelings. However, like I think that like anxiety is like irrational. So I'd say that's more of like an irrational fear that can pop up time to time.
Okay. No, the reason I asked is like, just like I said, like it just seems like no matter what, like I don't see you as the type of person that in any scenario, or even if you have a close friend where someone's being called out for something, I just don't see you really ever defending them. I feel like you would burn any bridge, and it doesn't really matter the level like of what the person did. You will burn that bridge to protect who you are and your reputation. I just feel that I get that vibe from you. I don't know why, but that's all I'll say. I'm like, if
But
Parker,
listen, man, I really value accountability a lot, and I think that that there I can identify in some scenarios like issues with like this purity culture of testing for perfection of individuals in the left sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that that is wrong to the extent of like when we have people that do bad things that inevitably do experience a change in their character and do hold themselves accountable, like to a threshold. Like I do think that an individual is like can be saved, quote unquote, right? But like one thing that I know is present, right, in like these conversations is that the conversation like wasn't originally about like a cancellation. The conversation was originally about you know, like listening to like members of the Black community in America understanding the harm that could be perpetuated via microaggressions and like hopefully chasing accountability, but that never occurred. And then she just ended up like being like very rude and to others. Like, I mean, like she fucking yelled at me on the phone because I told people not to sign an NDA.
gotcha. Mind if I ask you one final question or no?
Sure, man.
Okay. Would you agree, and we'll just take yes or no because I don't want to get on the full dialogue here. Would you agree that the actions that she did, would you say it was more of an unconscious form of a microaggression, or a conscious microaggression? The reason I'm asking is I kind of want to tie this together at the end. You think it was conscious or subconscious?
Like she intended to microaggress against the black woman in the space. I guess the only person at the end of the day who would know that is her.
Sure, that's a fair answer. Okay, listen, I'm just going to say that I believe it would, if it did occur, it would have been unconscious. But the reason I say this is this, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want people to obviously, but you obviously have a history of something happening, okay? And we could argue that with what happened with you, this was done with not subconscious, but you were forgiven and people moved on from it. But you aren't giving the same credit to someone that I believe did unconscious acts of inherent racism or
Just to clarify what you're referencing about me, you're talking about how you use slurs.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that because I wasn't trying to say. I'm just saying, but those.
I don't mind publicly talking about that. No,
okay, that's fine. So when these were done,
those conversations are good.
Gotcha. So I would argue that when these were done, it wasn't a form of subconscious bias, rather intentional or blatant. Would you agree with that when you said those words?
Yeah, like I intentionally used the N-word. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. But for her, it was clearly a form of unconscious bias or unconscious microaggressions. But she's fully canceled and she's out the fucking window.
Do you want to know what like the difference is that I observed?
Yes, that you changed.
If I responded to like the fact that I'd gotten aired out as using slurs when I was younger, and then I sat there and I doubled down and I defended it, and then I made it the fault and problem of everybody who called me out. I don't think I'd have the same platform I do today.
Okay, so you believe that the difference here was that
the difference is accountability. Is a sense of accountability. That's one of many.
Okay, and for her, you're saying that there hasn't been accountability, rather she's doubling down, that she didn't do anything wrong.
And then I just saw like the same motivations that probably led to her using those microaggressions against black women on the panel, used against other people. Like once again.
If this happened to Parker, would you have cut him off also?
If like Parker was in the shoes, I think that there is an explicit contradiction between like Parker and
let's say hypothetical. Let's say he didn't
using microaggressions against individuals and then not taking any type of accountability whatsoever.
No, I'm asking. You didn't really hold accountability. Would you cut him off the same way you cut off C?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the individual in which did it had anything to do with like why the decision was made. It all had to do with the contents of the action.
Okay. All right, man. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to have a conversation. Like I said, I just don't. I hope that you can have a backbone to some extent. I'm not saying you're a fool on coward, but I hope you can eventually get a backbone, and that if someone close to you makes a mistake of some sort, let's say it's an unconscious mistake, you can have, you can stand up for them a little bit. Because I understand you have this anxiety and fear of like, if you don't say the right thing, you're a big name. You have a lot of eyes on you. I understand that. But I hope you can eventually gain, this level of like, having a backbone that you can stand up for somebody.
Listen, man. I even told this to Z. I told this to Z on the phone. Okay, right, and I'll make this clear publicly as well. I even told Z on the phone because after I had hosted my original live, one of the very first things I did was I then turned around and I called Z personally to tell everything I said on live to her face.
Okay.
Right. And then at the end of that, I mean, obviously Z was upset. And I sat there and I heard her out and I listened to everything that she said. And I even told her that I would remain like critical of everything in which I do, the actions that I engage in, the things I propagate on the internet, and what I believe in. And I mean that. I will, right? If I fuck up, if I want to make sure that I can acknowledge that. Full-heartedly, and I'll repeat that. I think it's a good thing to be critical about what you believe in, why you do what you do, and what you do in general, especially when you have a platform. So I mean, I'll say that to you, and I'll repeat that: I'll remain critical of the things that I do.
Okay. All right, man. Sounds good. That's kind of all I wanted to say. Just leave it at that.
All right. Well, we had like 25 minutes left on the stream, and then all of a sudden we're 6 minutes over without any more debates.
I think it's a good idea to I just end it for now.
Yeah, I was gonna end it at 5.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Okay. Well, thanks for having me on, Dean, and I hope you have a nice, relaxing night. And I will talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah, you as well, Matt. Have a good one.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And bye, chat.
Bye, Matt. Everyone, shout out to Matt down below. So yeah, guys, I've taken a couple days off. And yeah, I thought I'd come back today. I had a couple hours. But I mean, I may still kind of continue to touch some grass, if that makes any sense. I may end up taking a little bit more time off. I might. I don't understand. I see like a lot of people saying that was like Peyton. Doesn't Peyton hold like opposing views? I'm confused. But yeah, like I was saying this at the beginning of the live. Like I came on. It's a joke. Okay, I was gonna say. I thought he held opposing views. I said this kind of at the beginning of the live. Like I know that I'm live right now, but I don't know if it's like permanent. I don't know if I'll be back on my like typical streaming schedule. I guess we'll see. I feel like I may need a little bit more time just kind of to myself, living my life. And I think it's a good thing for me. And it's probably a good thing for what I do on the internet too. And that I was a liar, that I could tell the truth. What the fuck am I lying about? Dear God. Oh Lord. Z, you should tell me what I'm lying about. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the night. I might see you guys tomorrow. I might not. I don't know. I don't know.